Hey everybody, we're back again. Now we're live. Welcome everyone for joining us. I'm with my other co-host, Moody's Mind, and our special guest, Dustin McNeil, author of Taking Shape 2, the Jaws book, Phantasm, the Slasher book. If you guys have not seen these books, then why are you watching this podcast?
It's a pleasure to have you, my friend. A pleasure and an honor.
Super stoked to have you here. Those that don't know of his books, go check them out. I'll probably drop some links in. Now, I personally have considered them like the definitive books. If you're a Halloween fan, you need to read Taking Shape 1 and 2, because 1 was great. Of course, admittedly, there was a lot of things in there, and there was a lot of things in there that most people probably did not know. But Taking Shape 2 is amazing when you actually research all the different treatments of the movies that were not made, which blew me away, because some of the ones I was just like, there's no way in hell they could have made this.
Well, thank you. First off, thank you guys so much for having me. It's a delight to be here. Love what you guys do here. And yeah, Taking Shape 1, the picture's right there up. It's the making of the movies that you saw. We tried really hard to dig up new stuff on the making of the first 11 movies, I think, which is a challenge because Halloween fans, they know everything. You know, they've already dug deep, but we were able to pack some new stuff in there. The more impressive book, I think, is Taking Shape 2, which is about the movies you didn't see. It's all about the lost sequels, and it is a 600-page beast. It is the unmaking of 24 Halloween sequels that were officially in development, but for whatever reason didn't get made. And so we not only tell the behind the scenes story, but we interview a lot of the screenwriters and studio execs and would-be directors. And so while the first book has some things you might not have known, the second book is just jam-packed with things no one has ever talked about. So we're really proud of the second book. And I say we because I'm only half the writing team. I'm a co-author with my friend Travis Mullins, who co-wrote Taking Shape 1, Taking Shape 2, and our newest book, which is Reign of Chucky, which came out in October.
So Travis, admittedly, I've seen Travis in a few things, but he seems to be a little bit more, now correct me if I'm wrong, like you seem to be more out there and more accessible, and it's not, and I'm not trying to mean this in a derogatory way, but I don't see him out there as much. Is that something because this is not his total forte, or does he do like different things outside of this genre?
I think that is like Penn and Teller. I'm the blabbermouth, and he's the guy that kind of stands back and is more reserved. He is a fantastic and knowledgeable co-writer, but when it comes to having to come out and, I guess I'd say run your mouth and promote, he would just as soon leave that to me, which I'm hoping one day I'll be able to drag him out into the light. But until then, he'll remain a mysterious figure.
Because I thought about that, and because you've followed my collection, I've followed you, and we've chatted back and forth over the years, and I know I when I researched trying to get you on, because I originally remember probably it was fall of last year, we were doing a different podcast, which we transferred to this one. And I remember you were going to come on, and I think you had gotten sick at the time. It was right before the holidays.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm like, wow, it'd be great to have both you on. And then I did a little research and looked around, and I'm like, it doesn't seem like he really gets out there. And maybe that's just some people don't like to be out there, so to speak. Some people don't like to be, don't like to talk, or maybe be out. They like to be staying quietly, like the silent partner, silent writer type of person.
You know what's so strange is Travis and I have only talked on the phone, I think, twice in 4 years, and we've only met in person once. Back in November of last year, we finally met. We've written 3 books together, 500,000 words we've co-written and published, and we finally, I went down to Orlando, where he's from, and we got to rendezvous and finally meet. It was really cool. So you can do a lot online through messaging and emails and stuff.
Yeah, that reminds me a lot of like Craig Jones from Slipknot. He's silent, he doesn't speak, but he's an integral part of the band. So y'all are like a great duo, man. That's great. I love that.
Yeah,
so that's the way Yeah, our podcast is built on that because Joe, which is, I'll never get this right. Okay, right here. I've known Joe probably for about 2 years now. We've never met in person.
Yeah.
And our other person, the three-headed monster, will should be here shortly. Brett, we've only met once. We were at a Monster Mania. We were at a horror convention in New Jersey, and we met in person. Other than that, like we chat during the week, we plan stuff, and we do the podcast, and we do other things. So I get it. Totally get
it. There's still a big part of your life. It's the power of the internet. It really is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can accomplish. Like I remember being in the military, and you still kind of connected with people from back home via Skype and video chat, and you can it still makes you feel like we haven't met, but I feel like I know Pat. He's like a brother. Pat's like a brother to me. So it's very it is close knit video wise.
So here's the question. So, of course, we'll go to the basic questions because it's the first time you're on the podcast. So, what drew you to Halloween? When was the first time you saw Halloween? And when did you create this love of Halloween, much like we have?
As a kid, I was raised on the Universal monsters. You can see I've got Dracula and Frankenstein and the rest of the posters all along the wall. That was my first foray into horror. And from there, I went to Hammer. I graduated onto the bloodier color. And when you go after Hammer, you go to the 70s. And so I want to say 11 or 12, and I started catching, you get the news TV listings, and I started catching Halloween 1 and 2 on TV, and it scared the shit out of me. Absolutely loved it. And then I saw this new movie, Halloween 6, was just coming on to video and Laserdisc, I guess it was back then. Ooh. And my fandom really exploded in 98 when Halloween H2O came out, because that was a big, big deal. I mean, H2O was on magazine covers, and it had a TV special, and they were on talk shows, and it was this huge online blitz of coverage. And so that's when I really cemented my fandom, in 98. And I've just been, it's probably my second favorite franchise behind Phantasm, which is very personal to me. Halloween is just, it's top shelf as far as I consider it.
Amazing.
Oh, that's great. And I love that you love Phantasm. So, I've told my story before. So my story in a nutshell is 1980 trick-or-treating. Me and my cousins come home from trick-or-treating, and we were coming home to watch The Warriors because it was on HBO. So we sat and watched The Warriors. Came out at 9 o'clock, ended at 10:30. What comes on? Next on HBO, babysitter stalked by a killer. So all right, let's watch this. It was Halloween night. So all right, let's watch this. Same thing. Scared the shit out of me. I was 8 years old. Loved every bit of it. I remember 81 when Halloween 2 came out. It was the first movie I saw in the theater. I was 9 years old. I went with my brother and my cousins, and I just everybody's. Do I need to say more?
Yeah.
So you're vintage. You go way back.
Yeah, I'm the old fart in the family. I'm the old guy in the podcast.
No, it's a good amalgam of, I guess, age. We go up just by little increments, not by much, Pat. You're not that old.
Yeah, we're like perfectly between Brett, who's not here. So we're like all within certain decades. So it's nice because we all have different points of view, and it all blends together based on like when we first came into the franchise, what was our introduction to not just Halloween, because we just talk all horror. Mm-hmm. So it's nice that it's not all old farts like myself.
Well, we need young blood in horror, right?
Yes. Well, that's it. You need the younger guys.
It's what progresses everything forward. Everything that's moving forward has been influenced from the past, and you know more of anything about the influences from the past because of all the research. You know how important that is. All the new creators that are coming out nowadays, like Damien Leone. Imagine what influenced him in making the Terrifier movies, for example. Like it's just the ante is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the years go on. So we need that young.
To think it's scary to think who is he influencing and what are they going to bring us?
Exactly. I was excited about the Terrifier 3 news. I was ecstatic, man, and so I can't wait for that to come out. Can't wait.
Absolutely.
So a question for you is, so what inspired? Actually, I wouldn't even say what's inspired you because you told your love of the Halloween franchise and horror in general. So, out of the first book, what can you tell us? Certain things that you were surprised to find out about that you did that was not well known? Because I know there's a lot of things in that book that were not well known until the book came out. Was there anything that you were particularly surprised about that you were like, wow, I did not know about that you dug up when you were researching?
I'm flipping through it here because I forget. We interviewed several people for Taking Shape that had never given interviews before on the franchise. One of those people was Richard Curtis, who wrote the original novelization of Halloween. That is kind of a collector's item. It's got a little bit of extra storyline that wasn't in the movie. And talking to him was really cool because he injected a lot of the Sam Hain or Samhain storyline into the novelization that John Carpenter later picked from when he was doing Halloween 2. And Richard Curtis never talked to John Carpenter, never met him, spoke with him, but it's clear from some of the dialogue that was lifted from his novelization into Halloween 2 that John Carpenter very clearly read the book and was partly inspired by it. And as well as anyone, being diehard fans, that little seed of Sam Hain would come back and drive the franchise in the later years, especially around Halloween 5 and 6. So that was interesting to me.
So if you have the time after this, look on this channel. What we started doing, we do what we call that Halloween movie book club.
Oh no, I've seen it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So we did Halloween 1, which was great because I told everybody, I said, guys, I read this book years ago. So for me, and I don't claim to be like the authority, I hadn't read it in years. I said, let's do this. Let's read the book and do it on the podcast and just go by chapter and just compare, because not everybody can own the book, because let's face it, the books are ridiculously expensive. But there's a guy on YouTube that actually does Audible versions. I said, because then we can compare all the stuff that's there, and especially the first novel, like you said, Richard Curtis. Really, I liked how he created that whole backstory of the curse on the family, and how Michael did speak in the very beginning of the book. Because remember, there's the whole narrative of him talking to his grandmother, and the grandmother concerned about maybe he's starting to get like his grandfather was, and he's starting to have that whole
hearing voices, all that
hearing
stuff.
Voices,
The good stuff there. Man.
And I love it shows a little bit of his time at Smith's Grove, like where these accidents keep having, that Loomis knows in his heart Michael is responsible, but to his colleagues, he can't concretely prove it, which
he
only
can't
makes
prove it.
him look crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, he can't prove it. There's like all these things are happening, and he's trying to tell everybody, I told everybody that it's there, but I can't prove it. And it's so for those that are just watching this, go not like a shameless promotion. Go watch the book club, because it's basically Cliff Notes version, or just go read the book, because the first book is very, very good. And then we just finished the second book. We just started Halloween 3. And the big thing that I kind of missed from the first book was what you can almost mirror to what Rob Zombie tried to do, was get inside his head. The first book, you heard him thinking, his impulses and things like that, which the other books don't have.
Yeah, so and that guy on YouTube that's reading them out loud, like the Audible versions, he's doing God's work. Okay?
He's doing,
Amen, brother.
Man.
Yes. We said I'm going to reach out to him. I mean, he's got a nice channel. He's actually got a pretty big channel. He's got a good following. But I'm going to say, look, go look at my channel. This is what you helped us with. I'd love to have you on just to chat with you, and if we can help you in any way, promote your stuff, because he's basically doing our job for us.
I love the added sounds. I love the
sounds,
extra that he puts on certain scenes. He really makes you feel like you're in the story. And
especially Halloween 3. We're in the middle of Halloween 3 right now. He has visuals. He's got sound effects. And he tells everybody, he's like, look, I'm not getting paid for this because of the copyright infringement. But he's like, I'm just doing this same way we're doing this. But like, we're just doing this for fun. We all have lives. We have jobs. We have families. We just do this because we have fun. We get off on it. And that's what he's doing, which is great.
And what's so crazy is it's not like he's really, infringing, because, they're not going to republish those novels probably ever. Richard Curtis, or Curtis Richards, that's the greatest pen name of all time.
That's the best
name. He's tried to get his original novelization to Halloween 1 republished. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. I mean, he won't even make any money off of it, because he's, he was a writer for hire kind of deal. as just a measure of personal and professional pride, he would love to see it republished. He's tried. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I remember
Anytime
reading
soon,
that.
it seems like.
And I remember reading your interview with him, and he's like, I'd love to have it out there so more people could read it and hear about it. He's like,
Yeah.
and more so just for the fact that just let it get out there, not necessarily to build up my bank account, which I thought was fantastic. And then now we're doing Halloween 2, which is Jack Martin, which is actually who? Dennis Etchison.
Right.
It's not Jack Martin, which most people don't understand. Like, so you're a writer. So I'm not a writer, and I've read books and I love books. What is the theory behind creating a pen name? I'm just curious. I just never understood that, because I would think you'd want somebody to know who you are, but what is the theory behind a pen name? I'm just asking because I honestly don't understand.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons that you might create a pen name. Like, let's say that, I've written 7 books on horror movies, right? But let's say tomorrow I wanted to write an erotic thriller. Well, I might not want my regular author career affected by that. Erotic thriller is not a good example. Let's say I wanted to write.
You had me at erotic. I'd watch that.
A Bible study devotional guide.
Oh, okay.
Probably not a good idea for the author of these violent, horrible, abhorrent books to suddenly try and use his name as an author to sell a devotional study guide. And so that would be a reason I could make a pen name.
Absolutely. I was just curious. I didn't understand because, so just going back to, because I know you interviewed Richard Curtis, you interviewed Dennis Etchison. I know Dennis Etchison was more of sci-fi writer. Am I correct in that? Because I don't know what else he did besides sci-fi, from what I remember reading through your books.
Yes,
but what did Curtis Richards do outside of the Halloween novelization? Because it's been a minute, honestly, since I read Taking Shape. So I'm trying to remember, like, what did he do outside where he would want to flip the script, so to speak?
My God, what was he? An editor or no? I think he was an agent of some sort. Like he helped publish books.
I remember that. Yes, he was a publisher.
He did that not because it was, I think, professionally satisfying, but because you could make so much more money
to pay the bills
doing that. And so there you go. But
I could think of a good reason. I was like, if you make something and it's not in your official name, if it sucks, hey, no big deal. But if it's great, it's a win-win, so to speak. That's one reason I would do it.
I just figured, like, if you could write something and you gave it a pen name, so to speak, and you're like, wow, it could be like Gone with the Wind or something like that. And you're like, shit, why did I use my real name? Because now it's forever going to be known as that name.
Well, think about the anonymity that would give you. I mean, you don't have people like tracking you down, bugging you, trying to leech off what you did, all these things. I mean, the anonymity of it really could be beneficial if it blows up like that.
Yeah, that's another reason too.
Yeah, so I was just curious because I was like, I see a lot of writers. I'm a reader, not a writer. So I'm a talker because I'm Italian. I talk with my hands. That's why I do this all the time. I'm just not a reader. So
what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Talking about. You never turn on the family. Never turn on the family.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So going back to Taking Shape. So what I liked about Taking Shape, I love how you start, the beginning and you highlight all different things that you did find out about each and every movie. And I'm not trying to dismiss that in any way, shape, or form, because I love Taking Shape. But as you mentioned, Taking Shape 2, when you came out with that, I was like, oh man, what was left to say? But when I saw that you were talking about the films that weren't made and why they weren't being made and who was behind, well, we kind of know a lot of if you read it, the players behind it that were stonewalling the making of it. That fascinated me. So where did you come up? Was it you? Was it Travis? Where did you go with the idea of researching the unmade Halloween movies?
Well, it's so funny because we never planned on doing 2 books. It was always ever going to be 1 book. And the Lost Sequels was just going to be an appendix in the back. The more we started researching that, okay, well, it's no longer an appendix. It's more like a chapter. Okay, it's no longer a chapter, but a few chapters. And then eventually it became half of Taking Shape 1. And we were like, look, we can't do this. We need to split this up. Because Taking Shape 2, like I said, 600 pages. I mean, that's like 2 books. It's a big book too. So it kind of just grew into its own thing. The more it was such a rabbit hole to fall down, because we kept finding more and more projects, many of which had just never been talked about before, stuff that has just never leaked out for some reason. And we're like, well, I guess that's another chapter. So it's, we had 11 films that were actually made that we covered, and then 24 movies that were written or pitched. And some of them got further than others. Some of them got down to like casting and location scouting, and they had a cinematographer. And some of them never made it out of a development meeting. But that's how that came together. And something else I'll go ahead and mention that's funny, I don't want to mislead anyone, is that people with the first Taking Shape, people say like, oh, the people that like it say it's like the ultimate companion, it's the ultimate behind the scenes guide, but it's really not. This actually isn't the complete making of this franchise, because it was too big. This is actually, the subtitle is Developing Halloween from script to screen. And so it's really only about the writing and editing. It's the narrative journey of the movie. So like, we don't talk about casting, music, effects, the masks. There's so much that we didn't cover because we couldn't. It would be a 2,000-page book. And so that's why both books are really, really focused on the story, the screenwriter's journey in creating it. And that's how we kind of flowed pretty seamlessly into Taking Shape 2 on the lost sequels, because movies that aren't made only really exist in that story form, So
what I like about
that's impressive,
especially Taking Shape 2, was like how you'll go from you start with obviously Halloween 4, and you do some Halloween 3 stuff, but the Halloween 4, the development of Halloween 4 to me was fascinating, because some of especially the Dennis Etchison take, the first one, I was like, for those that haven't read it, go back and read it. The thought that Michael Myers could have just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger on screen, I was just like, how the hell could they have possibly done that? And it was not, I don't want to go through each treatment you talked about, because we'll be here for hours, but that was just one that stood out to me, because especially most of the Dennis Etchison treatments, because very sci-fi, because he's he's more into the comic realm, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. They seem to be, he was writing a lot of fascinating stuff, because I actually love when he did the comic books.
Yeah, Dennis Etchison, and I have to mention that I didn't actually personally interview Dennis for Taking Shape 2. We licensed his interview from a wonderful horror journalist named Michael Ryan Assip. I believe he wrote for Dread Central. The interview is no longer online regardless, but we saw the interview and we were like, we have to have that in the book as a companion piece to the chapter. His Halloween 4 is so interesting because it's one of the only lost sequels that had John Carpenter supervising its creation.
Yeah.
And so John Carpenter gave a lot of notes on it and guided it. And, it's got some real strange elements. It focuses almost 100% on the supporting cast of the original film. So, Marion Chambers is there, Tommy and Lindsay, and so many other just really background characters. And like you just alluded to, the ending really just kind of throws you for a loop, because they're shooting it. It's at a drive-in movie theater. They're shooting at Michael and causes him to grow in size. Like he's
bigger.
12,
and I'm like,
he's like, yeah. What? He's like 12 or 15 feet tall, flipping cars like a kaiju.
It would have been and that's where it goes back to was it Night Dance, when he was doing Night Dance, the comic books. I love it. I have all the comic books. I love them, and I grew up on comic books, which I'm sure you guys did too. So I could, and obviously Etchison was chosen by Carpenter. Carpenter said, "Hey, let's get him to do that." He was chosen to write a treatment for Halloween 4, and when I read that, I'm like, how did this guy even expected this to even possibly be made? How are you going to expect a person to just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger?
I have a theory that John Carpenter resented Halloween 2 and Halloween 1's success, to the point that with that Halloween 4, he kind of wanted to go ahead and go against the grain of all the expectations and see how hard he could break away from this formula that he'd created within the genre. And so that's why you get a Halloween 4 there that's very different. But that's actually, if you get the book, there's actually 3 different Halloween that we cover. There's the
there's
Atchison
several.
version. There's one that was written even before that had Laurie Strode, before they knew that Jamie Lee Curtis
wasn't going to
returning. They went ahead and commissioned a script where Jamie Lee has a family and a wife and a daughter and a husband, and Dr. Loomis is back.
That's when she's living in Chicago. Is that the one she's in Chicago?
Yeah. And you've got the Shape driving around in a sports car in Chicago. It's very different.
I read that and I'm like, I can see him just driving around. Well, I mean, he drove around in a sports car in part 5, but let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Right.
And so,
the third Halloween 4 was by a great writer named Shim Bitterman, who wrote the original screenplay for Halloween 5. Before he was doing Halloween, and of course, Dominic Othman-Girard threw out, quite literally, his script. So he's credited on Halloween 5, but none of his ideas made it in. But he was one of the original writers on Halloween 4, and his version is very similar to the Halloween 4 we got, but with major, major differences. And so one of those being Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 4 is scared of her uncle. Her uncle's the boogeyman. Shim Bitterman thought for his Halloween 4, what if Jamie Lloyd was drawn to her uncle and thought he was misunderstood and that he really, as her last living relative, what if they could be together? Yeah. And boy, what a wrong direction for her to. She eventually realizes the error of that line of thinking.
Yes, it was a fun. I remember, of course, I've read it, and it was an interesting take on it, but it was just like, I don't know how well that would have went down, how people would have digested that, but it would have been fun, so to speak.
That's awesome.
I love. I just had it in my head and I just lost it. Which was the one? Because not to beat the dead horse, on every single one. The treatments where they were going to pick up after Resurrection, and they were actually they were bringing Busta Rhymes back.
Yeah.
When I read that in that book, I had to put the book down, and I remember like sitting upstairs reading it because I did read it originally, on the book. And my glasses off. My wife's like, "What's the matter, Mike? You don't want to know."
How far along did those get with bringing Busta Rhymes back? According to Anthony Massey, who wrote the foreword for the book and who used to run HalloweenMovies.com.
We had Anthony Massey on this 2 weeks ago.
Marvelous, terrific.
Great guy.
I mean, he's still doing awesome stuff in Halloween all these years later. But he told me that Busta actually came by the Trancas office to meet with Mustafa Akkad to talk about the future of his part of the franchise. I mean, they were.
God, I wish I was a fly in the wall for that.
I know. Like what was said. I mean, they tried to regain some of the dignity, I think, of the franchise in those Halloween 9 screenplays. That some of them killed Busta off right away, like he was just a loose end. That you got to go, you're done. Yeah. And one of them continued on with him as the new hero, which. Okay, I mean. We've already been in the direction, so how much worse can it get?
I guess more kung fu. I guess more kung fu.
There was no kung fu that I read in the sequel. I think they were trying to like rein it in. Like, okay, let's not go there again.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, and one of the ones I was actually probably looking forward to, from what I remember, and it was announced and put out. I remember reading in Fangoria, amongst other outlets, was Halloween 3D.
Oh my gosh!
When they said, because we're big Halloween 3 fans, when they said Atkins signed on, I'm like, I'm in.
Todd Farmer and Patrick Lussier got so far along in that. That's one of the ones, one of a couple different lost sequels that was location scouting. They had Wayne Toth doing effects. They had casting because they had Scout Taylor Compton, Tyler Mane, Tom Atkins.
Yep. They were coming back.
Halloween 3. They were all agreeing to come. They were going to do it right before they did Drive Angry, which was shooting in, I think, the New Orleans area or Louisiana. And it fell apart for the dumbest reason, which is that the Weinsteins just ran out of capital.
Well, we go down the Weinstein's rabbit hole, and Lord knows. I mean, just if those have not read the Taking Shape 2 book, you'll see all the stonewalling and all the nonsense that was created because of primarily Bob Weinstein.
What a fuckhead. God.
And he's got his comeuppance, obviously, for other reasons besides just being a dick.
But it's there's also in the book, we talk about a second Halloween 3D that would have also been a sequel to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. This one was by a fantastic writer that a lot of Halloween fans will know, Steph Hutchinson.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
who did the comics.
He did the comic books as well.
He envisioned a completely different Halloween 3D that instead of focusing on Laurie, would have focused on Sheriff Brackett and would have been about Brad Dourif's Sheriff Brackett going
That was a good read. Yeah.
up against the Shape. I mean, what a cool idea.
He was phenomenal as Brackett. I couldn't imagine, how great that would have been. Oh, that would have been
He was so good.
And what was the take where because I was trying to go back, I just didn't have the time. I want to go back and revisit everything. What was the take where I think it was where Scout was going to come back, where she was sort of going to be shadowing Michael, and then she just didn't want to be like him, and then she eventually ended up taking her life.
Yeah, so that was the one by Patrick and Todd that was going to be the original Halloween 3D. Yeah, so it kind of walked the line of, is Laurie going to, what is her destiny, right? And is she in charge? Does she get to choose that, or is she going to be evil like Michael? I thought it was really interesting, and I would have liked to have seen it.
Yeah, it was interesting because it was a different take, and because she from what I remember in your book, she was like, "I'm trying to be like you, but I can't do this."
Yeah,
and so it was like her having that, where she was, well, not for lack of better terms, the way you saw like in the part 4, where Jamie was sort of leading to him because she touched him and she was possessed by him, and did part 5, but she obviously didn't act on it. But this is where she was sort of giving into it to sort of act on it and becoming his quote unquote sidekick, and then just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, it begs so many questions, like, is this mental illness? Is this madness? Or is this in her blood? I mean,
right. Bloodline.
Really, Scout, I thought, the first Rob Zombie Halloween was just okay. I'm one of those people that thought his Halloween 2 was much more interesting. And it looked like Halloween 3D was going to continue that, where Scout Taylor Compton would have really had some opportunities to show her off her acting chops in some really gut-wrenching scenes, like the one you're talking about.
And I thought she was great. I'm a big fan of Scout's version of, of course, I'm a diehard original Halloween guy, so that's always at the top of the mountain, but I defend Rob Zombie's Halloween. I generally tend to laugh at the beginning and just try to make it humorous until we get past all that. And the rest of it's not a bad take. And Halloween 2, my only part of Halloween 2 that really gets me is I love the beginning, and then when she woke up, it kind of pissed me off because I wanted to be in that Halloween 2 hospital world. And only criticism of Scout is she was a little bit too whiny and, lack of a better term, bitchy. Other than that, I enjoyed it. I thought it was I'm a big Rocky Horror fan, so when they came out dressed as the Rocky Horror characters,
right?
I'm a big, as much as I love Halloween, I love Rocky Horror, and I was like, wow, that's awesome.
It was a beautiful crossing over of two things that I also love.
Yeah, I love Rocky Horror. Oh, yeah, so that was my only thing that was a little bit odd. And we also want to talk about your other books, because you did mention that Phantasm was your bigger passion, correct?
Yeah, so Phantasm was the first book that I ever, tried to do myself, Phantasm Exhumed, in 2014. And that's the whole reason I became an author, was because I had been a huge Phantasm fan and had a blog and all of that. I knew a lot of the cast personally. And I thought this franchise needs a great behind-the-scenes book. And after doing Phantasm, I just thought, well, where can we go from here? And I, one after the other, and now it's kind of my thing, horror movie retrospective books. But I love Phantasm. I've got the tall man right over here, always with me, and you can't see it, but tall man all over.
So I don't know your age, and I won't ask because nobody wants to know their age when they get older. So what did you see first, Phantasm or Halloween?
Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah, Halloween,
no.
I mean, what was Halloween your first big milestone horror film, or do you have one that comes before it?
That is my milestone. And funny thing, I just started doing something on this channel called I'm doing reviews of different eras, and if I'm a nostalgic, I'm an old fart. So I like to pick on movies that influenced me. So last week I dropped a review of The Warriors, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And then I have one now that'll be out this Friday, which is actually, it's nostalgic because it's actually the first horror movie I ever saw. It was a made for TV movie called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Yes.
With Kim Darby and John Hutton. If you've ever seen it, it's only about an hour 15 minutes long. So I'm going down the nostalgia route because this is fun for me. It's not, I'm not going to be a freaking YouTuber. I just like to do this because my wife has been, for years, I've had this stuff. I talk horror, Halloween, and my wife's like, you need to find somebody to talk to about this because I don't want to hear it. So I found Knucklehead to over here, another Knucklehead who's running a little bit late, and this is an outlet for us to hang out and talk about it. But my first horror movie I ever saw was Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
A great place to start.
Scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. I was about 6 years old when I saw it. It came out in 1973. I born in 72, but like 78 is when I finally saw it. It scared the crap out of me. So that's actually my next review. So what would be the first horror movie you saw, just out of curiosity?
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, it was, like I said, it was Universal. So it was the 1931 double feature of Dracula and Frankenstein, Lugosi and Karloff.
Nice.
And those forever live rent-free in my brain for forever, for all time.
That's
Joe's a big, I know Joe's a big, he's a big Universal monster collector.
Oh, big time. But no, for me growing up being a 90s kid, I can just remember HBO was a big no-no for me growing up. So when we would visit people and, I would always try to sneak into the older kids' rooms to watch what they were watching. And I can always remember like 3 movies or I remember Tales from the Crypt was always on. I can remember always watching Phantasm. Phantasm, for whatever reason, was always on HBO. And then it was always on HBO. I remember just being addicted to it. And then for me was the It miniseries from 90. Oh, yeah. And those movies kind of developed my love of the horror films. And then, my favorite film Halloween-wise is H4, Halloween 4, just because of my age. I was born in 86. It came out in 88. And I just remember growing up and watching that at home and being terrified. And the whole Jamie Lloyd character, a la the tattoo, it's so ingrained in me that, I then went back. So I remember what I watched when I was younger and went back and watched. And like you, man, I love Phantasm. All the movies are just kind of like a guilty pleasure for me. And not a lot of people love them. You try to strike up a conversation and people kind of just like, nah. You get the mainstream horror people, that's fine. But I just love the Phantasm films, man. I don't know what it is.
No offense, Joe. I mean, Halloween 4, what a safe choice. No one is going to argue or give you shit over that. Try being me when I try and defend Halloween H2O and people just go, scream, and I can't even get a word in because it's over. I've lost the argument.
So me and you are okay in the fact that I don't think H2O is such a bad movie. I really don't. I don't. There's some spots that I remember watching and I'm just like, this movie kicks ass. In so many different ways, you got that vibe back from the old days. The vibe. Maybe visually you didn't like the mask or you didn't like the actors or actresses, whatever you didn't like, but you still got that vibe. It brought it back. It brought it back to the mainstream.
We had this the other day.
That's an H2O here. I've got an H2O Winston
the KNB. Was it Stan Winston or is it KNB?
That is a Winston, and it's a little bit rehauled, so it's not perfect. But even that ugly ass mask, I love all of them, except for the CGI one. No one's gonna defend the CGI one. That's a free shot.
No,
any movie that has Creed playing in the background, I'm good.
Dude, I was such an H2O fan. I went and saw Creed live.
Yes,
because I had to hear them do "What's This Life For?"
What's this, bro? I'm like the biggest closeted Creed fan. I've seen them live, the whole shebang. I'm a big Tremonti fan. I love Mark Tremonti. So it's like I'm with you on that, dude. I'm with you.
And then Scream 3 came out and had Creed on the soundtrack, and I was like, they're gonna keep doing this. Creed's just gonna be on all the new horror movie soundtracks.
Fucking now. What If, man? I love that song. You just say the same song, what if, just over, and it's like
great video because Dewey was in the video, and
hell yeah, that's one of my favorite music videos, man. It's so good.
All right. So I have. This is where I can go back as being a musician. Like I said, I play in a band, and two of my favorite bands of all time. Basically, actually, one of them stemmed from Halloween. The other one was a pleasant surprise. So when I first saw Halloween back in 1980, I loved the film. I'd watch it all the time. And back then, you got to remember, there was no internet. You had limited TV. It just wasn't like it is now. So I kept hearing that Don't Fear the Reaper. So I researched it and I'm like, what is that song? I like this song. And I've been a 40 plus year fanatic of Blur's the Cult. I've seen him about 20 times. My son's a huge Blur's the Cult fan. Drives around the front plate on his car is a Blur's the Cult front plate. Because I've introduced him to Blur's the Cult. And he just loves Blur's the Cult. And the other happy accident is when I went to see Halloween 6. And they were playing Brother Kane.
That's awesome.
I loved Brother Kane. I was like one of my favorite bands from the
on.
90s. One of my favorite. I've seen them several times back in the 90s, and I love them. And I remember going, I'm like, my wife's looking at me. She's like, is that Full Shine On? I go, that's Brother Kane. Holy shit. and of course she came with me to see H2O, and she's a big Creed fan. To this day, she's a big Creed fan. So she was pleasantly surprised to hear that.
My main memory of Blue Oyster Cult is just I need more cowbell. That's all I know.
I know.
That's all I know.
And I've told people I've been seeing Blue Oyster Cult since the 80s. And I'd say probably since that happened, you go see them live and you will one thing you will not see on that stage is pardon my French, fucking cowbell. They don't even play it anymore. Because even with my somebody's like that, they don't even hit the cowbell anymore. I said they probably wouldn't even allow one on the stage at this point.
Right.
Because they don't want to deal with it anymore.
Don't blow it for us, Gene.
Talking about Halloween soundtracks, everyone wants to talk about Don't Fear the Reaper, Mr. Sandman, Fool Shine On, and all these great songs, but no one brings up the really weird soundtrack that has some pop songs on it. Halloween 5, shit like Romeo, Romeo, and I'll do anything for money.
I love that. I love, honestly,
so catchy.
It is.
No one talks about it.
We've talked, like Brad, who's not here right now. Hopefully, will join us at some point. Him and I have talked about it. We consider Halloween 5 is our guilty pleasure.
They love that shit. They love
because like it's such a bad train wreck of a movie, but it came out in 1989 at a very nostalgic time in my life. I just got my license. I got a nice job at the time, and I remember driving around in my car and listening to it on a cassette. And I love those songs like Romeo, Romeo. What's the other one? Anything for Money.
Yeah. There's a couple more.
Oh God, I know them all. Dancing on Midnight.
Yep. Oh my.
Yeah. God,
I had the
fun
audio tape of that soundtrack that I'd pop into my Walkman and I'd just be jamming. And my friends at school would be talking about, what music are you into? And I'm like, oh, I'll do anything for money. They're like, what is that? I thought everyone knew this song. This isn't a top 40. What are you talking about?
You're not listening to Waterfalls right now? What's going on? By TLC.
That's great. I love that you love that. I love that first part of that soundtrack. And people think, I'll put it on people like who? And over the years, I've had actually on people like, wow, who is this? This is actually pretty good. I go, and then when I say, they're like, oh, of course it's Halloween. Because they're just like shaking my head because they know me. I'm like, yeah, but it's, and I never really researched it, whether you did or not. Are they like local Salt Lake City, Utah bands? Because I don't think any of them really became of anything beyond that.
Well, that's the thing. Like I mentioned a little while ago, our scope on the Taking Shape books was almost strictly the storyline, because if we'd have covered every movie comprehensively, it would have been a 2,000-page book. And so we never got into the music, but I think that's a subject worth digging into. Like,
oh yeah. I love
the
that.
Halloween 5 book now. I think that needs to happen and give us some answers on these artists. Who was the music supervisor and who picked these songs? Probably Dominic. Don't you think that seems like a Dominic thing to do? Like,
yeah, and I could get off this podcast. I can go sit in my garage and pour myself a beer, and I just put that on and just listen to all those songs. And what the hell is the one song? Oh God, with the girl. I'll think of it in a minute. If not, I'm going to grab my soundtrack because it's driving me crazy. The one girl. I'll think of it. the girl that sounds real angry. The real angry girl song.
It's been like 20 years since I've spun this tape, so I can't remember.
I'll think of it. Otherwise, it'll drive me crazy, and I'll go look it up. But yeah, that would be of course, we're Halloween fanatics. So to sit there and say that you're going to come out with a book about Halloween soundtracks and songs, we'll be like, yeah. So I get it. You have to find the audience and go where, it's going to flourish. So I get it. So if you sit there and say, Pat, I'm going to do a whole thing on the Halloween soundtracks, I'll be like, sign me up.
Absolutely.
And you know,
So
on the subject of Halloween 5, I've got to tie it back to Taking Shape 2. If you saw Halloween 5 and you were expecting Jamie to become the killer, as was teased by the ending of Halloween 4, they actually did write that script. That script was written and it was going to go forward, and they didn't. And we cover that pretty extensively in the book. There's a whole story of Jamie Lloyd becoming Michael's sidekick. I mean, that Halloween 5 opened with her killing more people besides just her stepmother. Nice. And the other crazy thing about that version of Halloween 5 is that Loomis, right away, having kind of learned from the lessons of the past, he goes, we got to kill this kid. We got to kill her quick, like right now. And it's like he could have killed Michael when he first saw that Michael was evil, when it would have been easy when Michael was just a boy. But he didn't, because you don't do that. His mistake has led to so many deaths that Loomis goes crazy in this Halloween 5. Like he's chasing Jamie, trying to kill her like Michael would. And I love the screenplays that take Loomis and kind of push him to the edge of sanity, because that's where he would understandably be. I mean, having not been listened to and having, missed Michael at all these opportunities to catch him, Loomis would be a little crazy, right? And that's one thing that I adore about some of the ballsier Lost sequels, is that they didn't just have Loomis just be the shining white armor knight. They did things with him. They took risks with that character.
Yeah, he would have been, it sounded like he would have been more redemptive. Like he would have been like really kind of like to redeem himself for his failures in the past. That's really interesting, man. That's really, really interesting.
Are there any treatments that stand out for you as ones that were maybe your favorite, that like shit, I wish this was really made? I mean, I know there's a few just from reading the book that I would have been very happy with them being made, but anything that stands out that you, from obviously your research and writing the book, that where you said, shit, I really wish this was made. This would have been really, really cool.
So the really lame answer that I have is whatever script I read last is usually the one that I'm like, I want to see that one really bad. I mean,
nice.
What's cool is there's so many. Halloween is a really kind of elastic franchise, and that you can do really different things with it. You can have the sequel that's like a nostalgia comfort food, like 2018, or you can have the cult, Rosemary's Baby kind of Halloween 6, or you can go in all kinds of different directions. So a lot of the ones I liked, I love the alternate Halloween 5. I liked.
I did like that. Yeah, so I would love for them to come out with that one. I mean, it's nice that they finally came out with the Dr. Death original opening. I would love to see that massacre at the police station one of these days, if it ever shows its face of light. Which I don't know.
There was a chapter in there of the alternate Halloween 7, the Halloween 7 that was going to come out before Jamie Lee Curtis came back. And this Halloween 7 was direct-to-video. It was officially going to be a direct-to-video Halloween, because Halloween 6 had come out. It had not impressed anyone in any way. Yeah. And Dimension said, look, next one's direct-to-video. And they hired Robert Zappia, who eventually wrote Halloween H2O, but he wrote a Halloween 7 script called Halloween 7, Two Faces of Evil, which that's not a great title because you got two back-to-back numbers. It's confusing. Halloween 7, Two Faces of Evil. But what it was about was Michael is freed from prison. They catch him and he escapes. And you've got this magician who's obsessed with Michael Myers and starts copycat killing. And the problem is neither you, the audience, nor the authorities know who's doing what killing. They're killing at the same time in the same town. And you're trying to figure out, are we looking at actual Michael or are we looking at the copycat? And eventually it becomes clear, but it's kind of a cat and mouse with two different killers, and not in the way that Halloween Ends did it. It was even though I liked Halloween Ends, it was very different than how Halloween Ends did it, because they were never working together. It was separately, and you're constantly trying to figure out, is this really Michael or is this the imitator? And I thought that was an interesting take on it, to shake it up, because at some point with these sequels, you do need to shake it up a little bit.
Right. And with Ends, as much as it kind of pissed on the bushes for a lot of people, I see where they were trying to go. I personally, do I hate it? No. Do I love it? No. I'm a big H3 guy. To me, I think they probably could have found a different way to do what they did and introduce that storyline in an anthology. That would have been fantastic. That's just my opinion. Do I think it's the worst in the series? No. Resurrection. No, it's not.
Yeah.
There's other ones that are, yeah. So that's where I'd love to see them go. I mean, especially from you reading the books and doing all this research. Now, if they plucked from all this and did like an anthology series, like a Creep Show TV series, where they were doing Halloween and this, like they wanted to do, like John Carpenter wanted to do originally, that would be amazing. I'd love to see that. While I love my Myers, I'm okay with letting it sit for a while. Let it marinate for a while and then bring it back and do something interesting with it. But you want to keep it alive? I say, let's go pick and choose from all these different novels, different scenes from the novels, pick and choose from Taking Shape 2. That would be amazing. Put it on Shudder, on one of these streaming services, and I think it would do great.
Absolutely.
Because it would pique interest, especially for just not Halloween fans, just horror fans in general, because it would attract other people that may not be interested in Halloween, and it keeps everybody interested in the franchise.
I agree completely.
That's where I want to go. Just my offense. No offense.
No offense. That's good.
That's where I want to go. I could wait. Of course, I'm not getting any younger. 5-6 years. They come out with an amazing idea to reboot it. I'll be on board. I'll be there. Are you going to H45? Are you that big that you're going to H45 in Pasadena?
I'm not. My convention days, I'm a family guy now. I've got 2 young kids, and it's just not as easy to get out to the conventions as it used to be. So I feel like I'm probably done with conventions for a while, even though I love that scene, love the environment, love the fellowship of finally being in a room full of people that know about Romeo,
Yeah.
Whereas in your normal daily life, no one knows about that. So, no, I won't be going. I will be watching from home though. So when those Q&A panels get uploaded, I will absolutely be clicking in to see what I missed. How about you guys?
Oh, we're going. We got VIP tickets. We got one way. I've never been to any of the official. I've been to tons of other conventions, but this is probably going to be my one and only trip out there to visit the filming locations and all the different sites. Because same thing. I'm a little bit older, so my kids are a little bit older. So for years, I missed the 25th, I missed the 30th, the 40th, because of the young kids situation. I can't just pack up. I live in Pennsylvania, the other side of the country. I can't just pack up, leave my job, and leave my wife and kids and go out there. So now they're older, and I'm just like, screw you all. I'm going to Pasadena, and I'm going. I said, and my wife is cool. She's super. Meanwhile, she has 0 interest in any of this, and plus whatever she can get for when I drop dead. But she was cool with it. I'm like, I miss all the other ones. I'm going. So I got my VIP ticket. My buddy Joe's going, and our missing buddy Brett's going, and really looking forward to it. Have you ever visited any of the Pasadena sites? Have you been out there?
Yes. And speaking of Brett, if he doesn't turn up, can I have his ticket?
That might be his punishment.
No, I'm kidding. I have. I've made pilgrimage to some of the places out there, and it's so cool. The official conventions, by every measure, really seem to do an incredible job of giving the fans what they want, of like bringing the filmmakers and doing the events, the bus tours that Sean Clark does and stuff. I mean, how
I look for that. That's
clearly designed by
most,
fans for fans. Like, it's just pitch perfect for what people want to see. I mean, that's so great.
Did you do it? Did you go to do the tours and all this stuff? Did you do the official ones, or did you just do it on your own?
No, just did some of it on my own. Like when I was out there, I had to go to some Halloween locations, had to go to some Phantasm locations, of course. And I've been out to LA twice, and there's just not enough time to see all the locations and places you want to see, because I don't know how people who live out there don't just do that full time. Like, you could stop by the Myers house and have coffee at that little shop in front of it any day you wanted. Like, that's where I would spend all my time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I did have restraining orders against me.
Oh God!
Why is this guy still here? You need to go home. But a quick question, because while we have a love for Phantasm, I love that movie. Where was Phantasm filmed? Because I honestly don't know.
Yeah, Phantasm was filmed in and around Southern California, and also a little bit in Northern California. They filmed it across 3 years in a whole variety of locations, from like Van Nuys to Chatsworth to just kind of all over. So just around LA, basically in the suburbs.
Did Don Coscarelli, now was that studio backed, or was that how was that backed? Because I'm just curious. I guess it's one of the movies I do love, and I'm actually going to do it as one of my reviews. We're actually reviewing it tonight on this channel, so hang out. So was he studio backed, or
No,
how did he fund that?
his dad funded it for him because he had done 2 independent movies first that had gained studio distribution once he had made them. And Phantasm, once he made it, he sold it to Avco Embassy for distribution. But Phantasm, fiercely independently made.
That's his baby, right?
Budget.
It's his baby. Yeah, it's all him.
And that's how the later ones, Phantasm 4 and 5, were independently financed and made the same way. And 2 and 3, Phantasm 2 and 3 did have the backing of Universal Studios as what's called a negative pickup, where they said, look, if you go out and make the movie on your own and bring it to us, we'll buy it and release it and stick our logo on it. But they didn't actually have anything to do with the actual production of it.
He's kind of like the Don Mancini of the Chucky. No, I'm just playing. This guy's more creative in my opinion, but that's just me. Because it makes you think.
One of the things about Phantasm, I'm curious just because the way it's shot, and I've always wondered this because it's amazing. My wife went to school for architecture. Now, Morningside, that building, is that real?
No.
Is that an actual building? Because it doesn't look like it is in the film. That's real.
No. So the exterior, that white building with huge columns.
Yes.
That's the Dunsmuir Mansion up in, I want to say, Oakland, California. Oh. And it's a historic mansion that's been there.
It's just amazing looking.
Forever.
It's creepy as hell.
The inside of it, we never actually see the inside of it in the movie. The inside that you see, where the marble walls and everything, that's just a warehouse. They just got contact paper and put it on plywood.
Oh, nice.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's the fakest but best looking set you can think of a way to make it. I mean, they made it for just nothing, pocket change basically. And it looks so good because if that's not what a funeral home looks like, what is it?
To this day, I could tell you when I'm with my cousin, who is about 6 months older than me, my cousin Jimmy, and we were big horror fans growing up, and we used to watch all the movies together. To this day, like him and I will be out somewhere, and I'll just get his hand to go on my shoulder, be like, "The funeral's about to begin, sir," and I just start laughing, and my wife's like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?" And I'm like, it's better you don't know.
Phantasm was so special to me. I was close friends with a lot of the cast and crew. But especially Angus Scrimm, the tall man, was a very dear friend, and he was instrumental in helping me get that first book released. He wrote the introduction. He helped me coordinate interviews. He shared his personal set journals from the making of the movie, and it was just so special to me personally to be able to release that book because it's not only the legacy of Phantasm, it's his legacy, and
right.
And it's being my first book. It's rough around the edges. It's called Phantasm Exhumed, but it's also something that I'm still pretty proud of. 9 years later, it's a cool thing.
And admittedly, now is that on Audible as well?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I love Audible because that's how I catch up on things. So I'm gonna go check it out. And what now? We love how you love Phantasm. You love Halloween. What drew you to Jaws? I mean, everybody loves Jaws. I mean, what drew you to do a Jaws book?
Yeah, well, it's actually, it's funny. It's not really a Jaws book per se. It's actually, it's the Jaws ride that was at Universal. Oh, I love it.
This is great.
It's the Jaws ride that used to be at Universal Studios Florida that was there for 20 years. It's now Harry Potter. It's now Harry Potter.
I never haven't read it, so it's about specifically the ride, not necessarily the history of the movie.
Right. So the ride kind of is it's its own little storyline inspired by the movie, and the making of the ride is disastrous. It is it's hilariously terrible how bad it was initially put together. And so my book is a collection of 30 interviews of the writers, designers, construction people, shark people, skippers that did the boats. It's all these people that worked on it giving their stories. It's called Adventures in Amity: Tales from the Jaws Ride.
Oh wow, I have to check that out. That'd be interesting to see.
And in
That's
addition
awesome.
to the interviews with the people that made the ride, there's so many behind the scenes photos of the sharks and the construction of the ride. And so for people that never got to experience it because it's no longer there in Orlando, it's kind of just a cool, weird, niche subject of Jaws history that I just, for personal reasons, I had to document it. Because anytime you go to Universal Studios Florida back then, they had not just the ride, but a whole Amity Village, like with games and restaurants and gift shops. You could step foot into Amity Island, it felt like. Even the architecture of the buildings and the street signs. And there's no other opportunity you really have for that. I mean, what Halloween Horror Nights, I guess, when they do Halloween, but when else can you step into physically the world of the movie you love? It was special for that reason.
That's pretty cool. That's very interesting.
That is wild. And the funny backstory that I have, which both my co-hosts have seen before, is: have you ever seen the documentary Class Action Park?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in northern New Jersey, so I used to go to that action park all the time.
Really?
So it was hysterical when even my wife and I told her about it. She's like, there's a documentary about accident. We used to call it Accident Park when we used to go, because there was always an accident. Somebody always got hurt. And every time we were young kids at the time, we used to beat the shit out of each other when we used to go down on the water slides. So it was funny. She's like, I can't believe the documentary on that park, because everybody used to get hurt. That's why we called it. It was called Action Park. They called it Class Action Park. We just knew it as Accident Park. So I love how you wrote that. I didn't realize the whole book was about that. So I actually have to get that. I want to check that out, because it brings back nostalgia of now that I'm older, my kids go on all the rides. They're like, Dad, go on the ride. I'm like, yeah, I'll be hurting tomorrow.
Take the ibuprofen and do it.
Yeah. And the Proxen's my buddy. No. No. Oh, that's I have to read that. And now the other book that you have is it's on slashers.
It's called Slash of the Titans: The Road to Freddy versus Jason. And if you like Taking Shape 2 about all the lost sequels, then you will love Slash of the Titans, because Freddy versus Jason, that we got in 2003, I was actually a big fan of that movie and the soundtrack. Fun soundtrack. But that movie took a long time to get made. And I came to realize it had officially 17 different screenwriters.
Holy crap.
17 different this is according to the Writers Guild, because it went to arbitration when the movie came out. New Line Cinema had commissioned 10 different versions of that script using 17 different writers before they finally settled on the one that was made. And when people complain about the one that was made, I implore them to go and look at the ones that weren't made. And that's what Slash the Titans is. I interviewed almost every screenwriter in that group of 17. I interviewed production executives, producers, and it's, what they almost made with Freddy vs. Jason, it was going to be crazy. I mean, the things that they thought about doing were wild. And that's what Slash the Titans is. It's 10 different versions of the same matchup. So that's the story.
That's crazy to get all those different, imaginations and different visions. That would have been, that's cool, man. Damn.
Some people said, well, Freddy was clearly a counselor at Camp Crystal Lake. And some people said, no, we're going to make Jason a real killer and put him on trial like a courtroom drama. And some people said, we're going to have Jason and Freddy be movie characters and then come out of the screen. I mean, there were so many ways that they tried to do it. And they would get a script and they would look at it and go, this doesn't feel right. This is too complicated. And so it really was an effort to simplify it as much as possible, which is what we got in the movie, I think. The 2003 movie is pretty simplified, which was easier said than done at the end of the day.
I got to definitely check that out, too. That's just great. Now, you as a writer and obviously investigating, you have to do research for these books. And obviously, we love to talk and chat about this stuff. So anything come to mind as far as not necessarily just Taking Shape because we're Halloween fanatics, any interviews that stood out that were your favorite interviews? Like I could tell you, I love the one interview that you did with speaking of Halloween 5, Dominique O'Finn and Gerard, where he was talking about how he just basically took their script and threw it in the garbage.
That was
And
one
then
of my
I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, that was Travis. That was actually Travis.
Travis did Dominique Othman-Girard,
That was
and I was
Travis.
so jealous because
That was a great interview.
He was such a character. You could just tell. And he had so many things. I mean, I wish Travis could have kept him talking for. That's a long interview. That interview is like 16 pages, right? I mean, we just let him talk.
He just went off, and he was telling you all this stuff, and you were just like, how did he just? Like, they just not take it? All right, get his ass out of here now. But that was great. But anything stand out to you as like one of the interviews that you reminisce or think about often? That was like, wow, man, that was a great interview.
You know, some of my favorite interviews I've done for Slash of the Titans, I got to talk to Robert Englund for an hour and get his ideas on the early Freddy vs. Jasons. That was special to me. And Sean Cunningham as well, who directed Friday the 13th. And with Taking Shape, getting to talk to Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream, was pretty special. And also people like Daniel Farrens and Steph Hutchinson, who have written some Halloween stories that I personally really, really enjoy. But also going back to Slash of the Titans, I got to talk to David Goyer, who wrote The Dark Knight and so many big budget blockbusters. He had a version of Freddy vs. Jason, in fact.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So oftentimes it's just getting to interview filmmakers whose work, I've really enjoyed, and I just get to pick their brain. That's been a great part of it. We did 40 interviews for Taking Shape 1 and 2. And honestly, I can't even remember. I'm like, oh God, I forgot I talked to that person. That was amazing.
Yeah, we had Dan on our other podcast. We had Dan Farrens on, and we were asking about, all the, lack of a better term, bullshit he had to go through while making Halloween 6. And you highlighted it very, very well in Taking Shape 2, and all the shit that went down with all the changes and how he was actually trying to go to bat for what he was trying to make.
He is a saint. The fact that he could go through what he went through, having his valid and worthwhile creative vision fueled by idiots who had no idea what they were doing, but the confidence to go ahead and do it anyway. And that Daniel Farrens came out positive about the experience and not a angry person is a testament to what a guy he is, because he still supported Halloween 6 and helped get the producer's cut released and participated in fan events and has fielded God knows how many messages and emails and interviews. And I personally, if I had gone through what he went through, I'd be pissed off, and I'd change my name and start using a pen name so that no one would bother me. So that's incredible. But, also to answer your question, I just looked at the table of contents and I remembered that for Taking Shape, I got to talk to like Dean Cundy and Tommy Lee Wallace. Ooh. And, those were special moments because with Tommy Lee Wallace, I just got to gush about Halloween 3, which I think is the second best Halloween movie in the franchise, if I'm being honest. Those were special. I mean, it's a really privilege that I get to talk to who I get to talk to.
Big Age 3 fan. We're both big.
It's in my top 5.
It's in my top 5. It's in my top 5. Albeit I've told you since age 2 in the theater, and I was that kid that went there in '82 to see it, and we were like, "Are we in the right theater? Where the hell is Michael Myers?" And funny story, which I've shared with the other guys, is so we went to see Ends, and Ends was with only person that came with me at the time was my daughter. So I took my daughter. So we're sitting there watching it, and she's like this. Dad, where's Michael Myers? And it was like a flashback to 40 years ago when I was in the theater watching Halloween 3. Like
deja vu.
She just looked at me. He's like, Dad, where's Michael Myers? I go, I don't know. And I was having deja vu. I'm like, oh, I've been here. I've done this before. What's going to happen next? But I've since, and I was, albeit a little disappointed at the time, I've come to appreciate it, and I've come to love it. And I mean, it's part of my collection, as you can see. I love it. It's very misunderstood. And for those, we're doing our Halloween book club right now. We're reading the book right now, which is Dennis Etchison.
Hey, you know what, guys? I've enjoyed this so much. I've got a jet. I'm so sorry.
No, I said you tell me how much time you have. If you got a bolt, especially if you have young kids, it's a Sunday night. Totally get it.
But listen, if you ever have a whole schedule, you need someone to come on and talk your ears off about any of the topics we've discussed, please think of me.
Absolutely. You have an open invite because we can geek out on this stuff, as you can see, all night long.
We'll be discussing Phantasm tonight, but if you want to come on and talk all the Phantasm films, dude, we can do that, my friend.
Easily.
That would be amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, you found the right group of knuckleheads.
That's
I'm
right.
actually glitching here at the end. Is this how you guys have guests off the show?
Not usually. You're freezing a little bit, but your voice your voice is okay, but you're like doing like the old Max Headroom thing.
You can't quit us. We'll quit you. Is that what
No. It's a pleasure to speak to you, man.
It's a pleasure.
Pat, Joe, thank you so much. I hope Brett's okay.
It looks like he's just about to. He looks like he's about to jump on, but we'll let you run because you got stuff to do. I'll be in touch, and believe me, anytime you want to come on, we'd love to have you back on and chat some more.
Thanks so much. Have a good night, guys.
Take care, Dustin.
That was killer.
And just as we're losing Dustin, womp 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 womp. There's Brett.
Hola, konnichiwa.
Dude, yeah, I could.
Missed him.
I know, but I didn't get to listen to it as I was running late, so it's like I wouldn't want to double up on questions. That's how I was like, you know what? I'll just then why not interrupt? I'll go back and listen to it later.
And I apologize. I was not ignoring people in the chat, but I was just engrossed in what he was having to say because I could geek out on this shit all night long, as you can say. So apparently, Blake was in the chat. Interesting. Brett lives in the historic mansion as well.
Did he say if he was going to be at age 45?
I did ask. He said no because he's got young
okay.
kids, and I'm like, I've been there. The only reason I'm going to age 45 is because my kids are older now. They want nothing to do with me except I'm just their financier.
No, I get it.
He was a very nice guy. It was a nice chat.
Oh, great, super nice. Writers, and he said it definitely will come back. Writers who have sequels. Yeah, there's so many possibilities.
The merchandising book should be Taking Shape 3, but I don't know if that was.
The Jaws ride. Have you guys ever been to the Jaws ride in Disney? I've never been on it.
No, I've never been.
I did the Jaws ride at Universal before they got rid of it, way back when. Was that the one, or was he talking about something else?
Yeah, that's what the book is about. I didn't realize it. I ran the mountain and Class Action Park all the time. Oh, the Class Action. I brought up Class Action Park.
I caught that. We talked Action Park.
It's called. For those that grew up in northern New Jersey like myself, it was not Class Action. It was not Action Park. We used to call it Accident Park because something always happened. GK was in the house.
GK, what's up, big fella?
Hey Joe. So my daughter, I was watching it on the phone before I got on, and my daughter's like, "That's not Joe." I'm like, "Yes, that's Joe. That's not his hair." I'm like, "Maybe he's letting his hair grow out. I don't know." She saw that curl right there, and she's like, "That's not Joe." I'm like, "That's Joe."
Yeah, it's getting quite long here. I'm getting a coif going. I'm growing it out while I still can, you know.
He looks like he had a real good time talking. That's awesome, guys. So
yeah, and it was super cool. Answer great questions. That was just and admittedly, for those that don't know, we used to do a podcast years ago called not even years ago, months ago, Collectors Podcast, and he was supposed to be on, but he had gotten sick, and we just never were able to get him back on. When I reached out to him last week, he's like, "Oh, I'm free this coming Sunday," and I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." So that was great. No, and I tried to brush up on as much as I can because I haven't listened to those books in a while, and I was picking my brain of all the stuff that did stand out, and it was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun.
No, you did a wonderful job, my friend. Good job, dude. You did wonderful.
Thank you.
So you hit some pinpoints. That's great. I'll have to go back. I want to listen to that. If he sounds like he wants to come back on too, so that's cool.
Yeah, and I remember I was going to bring it up, and I completely forgot. I was on my agenda to bring up to him, but he had to run. I had mentioned to him years ago. I said, because he always comments on my collection. I'm like, anytime you want to do the Halloween collector's book, I'm more than willing to help out.
You know where I got to talk to? Remember they came out, Pat, I don't know if Joe got it, the Brazilian version. Remember the Brazilian book that he was a part of?
Shit.
No, I don't have that.
I grabbed these two. I didn't even think of that.
I forgot about that book too.
So did I.
I commented about it, and then all of a sudden, Facebook friends.
Yeah, that was a real nice story. Who else was it? Oh yeah, so Nick Push was in the chat. Travis, Agnet, and
Steve's in there too.
From what I'm seeing, is everybody fucking everybody got out of Dodge when he left. But we're going to be hanging out. So now basically we're going to start the podcast from the beginning because he originally wasn't supposed to come on until 9, but he hit me up right before and said, "Hey, Pat, I'm free now." I'm like, "Dude, you want to come on? Let's do it." So we pretty much interviewed him. So the rest of the podcast, for those that want to hang out, is going to be some updates on Joe's time at Texas Frightmare and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to start the podcast now with our original usual shit. So I'll go first. Why not? We're going to do although I'm halfway through my first beer, do a quick beer review with my buddies. I had an interesting weekend. For those that my buddies know the whole story of how my son's car has been dead for 6 months at his college dorm. So we rented the U-Haul trailer yesterday and drove 3 hours to trailer it back. So that was my entire day yesterday. And so before that, my brother came up to help me out. Shout out to my brother Tom. Thank you for the help. But so I treated him. We went out Friday night to my favorite local brewery. I went to the Log Tavern Brewery and had some Hartford Haze.
Nice.
Nice. I like anything black and white. That's cool.
So shout out to Log Tavern Brewery. You want some good beer? You cannot miss.
They got nice hoodies too.
and they had a different one. He just bought another one last night. He's like,
"Oh, he did?
Kill me." Yeah, he got a different one. That he goes in there with like 3 growlers. They know him. They always like, "Oh, you come to visit your brother?" He's like, "Yep." He just goes there with his 3 growlers and they fill him up.
That's badass.
It's his favorite place. So that's what we did. And Brett didn't send me any beer. So
I didn't, but I just put that there. I didn't get to send you the picture. My Caddyshack beer, the Bushwood.
Bushwood.
Bushwood a dump. Bushwood a dump.
Ain't worry about me.
Brew Dog in Ohio. I've had this, I think, during our watch-alongs. So
very nice.
Didn't send you the picture, Pat, but that works.
That's okay. And Joe's doing his responsible Lagunitas hoppy refresher.
Yeah,
I still have to find it. I still have
telling you, man.
I have to look for that because I need to. After the last month or so, I need to go on the wagon.
Like when you take a sip, you get the hoppiness, and then you get a zip of sparkling water, and it's just overall refreshing. I mean, 0 calories, 0 carbs, gluten free. I mean, if you're trying to watch your weight, Pat, here you go.
Well, I wouldn't watch my weight get smaller. I'm just watching it get bigger as we speak. And that seems to be the problem these days.
Brought to you by That Horror Movie Podcast.
Sponsored.
We got a sponsorship. I was there the other night hanging out with the owner. I was drinking beers with the owner of the Log Tavern. She's like, "Hey, I'm going to sponsor your beer this weekend. Help a brother out. I don't want any money. Just throw me a 4-pack. I'll be happy."
Yeah, contribute.
So that is our beer. And
can I interrupt something really quick?
Sure. Go right ahead. Bite me. Do it. Head. Just do it.
So I got the scent. It's from the Mafia Boss, and it's a picture of a woman having a baby, and it says had to settle for the husband saying had to settle for delivery because someone didn't feel like cooking tonight. Look at this picture.
Oh, that's funny.
Sorry,
that is funny.
Like, Pat, is that full Italian or what? Sorry, I had to interrupt on that. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
I accidentally watched Phantasm after watching my uncle's copy of Batman. I was going to Phantasm. I think the two were nice. Yeah, Phantasm. I watched it again last night because I was like, "Oh, we're going to review it." It's been a minute since I watched it. It's such a great movie, and it's great that he had that whole backstory and he wrote the book on it, and especially Angus Scrimm. I mean, you can say what you want about that movie, but Don Coscarelli, kudos for finding Angus Scrimm. That guy was perfect as the Toll Man.
Now, how many Phantasms are there? Were there 6?
Yeah,
5.
I believe there's 6.
5 or 6? Is it 5 or 6?
I think it's 6.
I think I've only gone up to 3. No joke.
I know I've seen the 3 of them. I don't know about beyond that. I know they exist, but I don't think I've seen them. What's up, Ryan? Needs to get the rest in the kitchen. Get pop out that baby. Go make me a sandwich. Go make me a sandwich.
Sandwich.
So this week, not too shabby a week. So I'll show my new stuff, which I think you guys got these too.
I didn't get mine yet. Sorry, shock.
You didn't get yours yet?
No.
So for those that pre-ordered the Fright Rags Halloween figures, the new ones just came out. So there is Andy Brackett. And with the I love how they do this on the back of them. They personalize each one with the backstory and like that whole comic feel. And there is Sheriff Brackett.
Nice.
Same thing. And
there's only five Phantasms. I was mistaken. There's only 5.
Is there 5? Yeah,
I
think I've only seen the first 3. Besides this, what else I got? Oh, I picked this up.
Oh, look at that.
It looks like a Christine with a Halloween 3 morph.
This is
like
in
headlights.
An original Italian theater poster for H3 from '82. Now this thing, like you see it, how big do you think this thing is? That's what she said. But
is that a 30 by 40?
This is 41 by 60.
Damn.
That's how big this fucking thing is. It's 41 by 60.
It also looks like it belongs in the realm of like Hellraiser or some shit. Like that looks
or evil Superman with the eyes.
Yeah, dude.
Shooting the lasers.
It says Le Sang des Sorcières.
Le Sang des Sorcières. I mean, it's Italian too.
Yeah, Steve, I didn't get mine either, bud. I'm sorry. I see that, bud.
You didn't? Oh, you didn't get yours? Yeah, I was surprised because I'm usually the fucking last guy that gets anything. I was pleasantly surprised that they actually showed up on time. I was like, wow.
I had the same thing, Pat, with that Stevie Wayne NECA figure. A few people are like, oh, I didn't get mine yet. I'm like, I don't know how that's all going.
It's like random as hell. It's like fucking random. Oh, that's some good stuff there, my friend. Damn,
Pat, you had a good week, Pat. That's a good week.
That post, yeah, I was watching that poster for about a good week. I spotted it on eBay, and thankfully the guy had the best offer up there, and I was watching it to see if it. I'm like, oh, there's 2 or 3 watchers, and
I'm watching you.
So I was sitting here one night. I think it was after I was chatting with one of you guys having a beer or two. I'm like, oh, fuck it, let me throw this guy an offer. Lowballed him, took it.
No shit.
Yeah, sometimes they see the money right there. You know what? I need to pay for some dental work. Let's go.
Yeah, I never get that fucking lucky, man. Seriously. Never.
Yeah, so gay. Oh, GK, you didn't get yours either. Wow, damn! I feel important. Usually, I'm the last fucking guy.
I don't even think I got a shipping confirmation. Or did you guys even get a shipping confirmation?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I got a confirmation. It was released and everything. I feel finally. I'm at the bottom of the list.
Hey, my package didn't show up all fucked up. I was excited about that.
Joe was just like, you know what? At least somebody didn't step on my shit.
Yeah, at least somebody didn't destroy my shit. Man.
You guys ordered double order too, right? Did you do two of each too, or no?
I usually don't because I usually don't open them up. I only got one set. Yeah,
maybe that's why I didn't get mine yet too. I don't know.
Maybe I'm pissed because I just missed getting
one of those
bracket in the 2 of them signed. I was a week late. That would have been cool to have all 3 of them sign them.
You still got a good chance, buddy.
Yeah,
that's true. GK, that is true. Yeah, Fright Rags is in Rochester, where my son used to go to college. Grew up in Rochester, so maybe
Chicago Boogeyman got his too. I think I saw.
Yeah, I saw Brian. Yeah, shout out to Brian if he's watching. I saw he posted his. He got his.
I was like, all right.
I don't know. Maybe because it's 2. Who cares? I don't know. So they'll be available. Though. Look at the first ones were available for quite a while. Oh,
Brett's got some good. And after all this time, finally the Stevie Wayne Fog figure's out.
The Stevie Wayne Fog figure, yeah, it's and she'll be around. She does conventions. Can't wait to get that thing signed. That turned out really nice. And you guys know about that Halloween 5 Trick or Treat Studios one. I got a good deal on that.
That was a good deal. Yeah, honestly,
I don't $78 with shipping.
I don't have 4 and 5, but if I got them for a real sweet deal, I would take them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did get Halloween 2, and it's on its way. I told you guys
that was a good deal that you got on Halloween 2.
Good man,
real good deal.
Get them signed. Those are Best Buy exclusive steel books for Rocky 2, 3, and 4. Rocky 4, that's the only way you could see that besides paying for it on Amazon Prime. The Stallone's director's cut. He did the alternate cut of Rocky 4.
The alternate cut, yeah.
It's still really good to watch if anybody hasn't seen it.
No, I have to watch. So
maybe that would be a good. Maybe that'd be a good watch along, or you guys watch it first. You guys watch that.
Is that so? You can only get it from that version
on physical media. It's on Prime. It's a
Prime
exclusive.
So if we said we wanted to do it, I could get it on Prime.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'd do it. Yeah, in a heartbeat, I'd pay for it just to see it.
Yeah, Adrienne Barbeau is going to be here in Houston in August. So I want to probably get that figure and have her sign it. Hopefully,
Joe, look at Shout Factory because I think some of you could still get the Fog discs with the
Oh, you mean the whole package, like the
Like,
poster
well, there's
and
like
all of that?
4 or 5 different packages you could buy. You could find a
Ah,
cheaper one if you don't want to buy like the gigantic, enormous one. I bought the steelbook version. So it's
mhm.
like the steelbook and the figure. I think it was like 70 something bucks. So
Hey, I'm gonna look it up right now because I know the figure sold out like a fucking bastard.
the figure by itself sold out. You're right.
Yeah, gone,
So
man. Let me go back. I'm gonna go look because I would love to get her signature. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
And
saying?
Joe had a laundry list of shit that he sent me, so
Joe,
let's go check it out.
we're on a good
So,
streak right now. Oh,
okay, so this bastard we found today because, as y'all know, I'm still not 100%, but I was sick for a while and I couldn't go on my normal hunts. And this was something that I had got the Herman Munster figure, and this one was released, and we couldn't find it anywhere and couldn't go. We went to 2 Targets today, and we found this one on the second trip, and it was buried behind like a bunch of other shit. So look at that new.
somebody was trying to hide it, huh?
Yes,
Say-
it was.
Say what you will about that movie, but Daniel Roebuck was
He-
phenomenal.
He
as
was one
Grandpa.
of the high points of the movie.
Yes, he
was,
was.
in my opinion, between him as Grandpa and Richard Brake as Count Olaf,
Amazing.
they stole the movie. They stole the
And
movie.
he deserves his own fucking character, or his figure, because he's earned it, man. Like, he's a big fan in the whole realm. He's a collector. He's a good actor. He
Mhm.
deserved it, man. And I remember I saw a video of him being super excited that he has his own figure now. Like, imagine
That's
that.
awesome.
Like,
I
Yeah.
think
It's
he's
awesome.
coming to Days of the Dead. I might have to get that figured.
dude, it is so cool. I just need Lily now. We just need Lily. We're just waiting for
Lily.
Lily. Lily.
Joe's also got
Oh. So we went to Frightmare, of course, and then so when we first walked in, right after waiting in line for fucking ever, we went in, we took a left, and as soon as you take a left, there was Trick or Treat Studios. They had their booth.
Oh yeah.
So we went to Trick or Treat Studios, and these were the first. On the far left, you can't see it. It had just released a Captain Spaulding figure, and they had all these 4 there on the shelves, and they had the little case that you can buy. And you can actually build, was it Tiny, I think? But I only bought these 4. Look how badass they are. You got
Do they have
Otis.
is there a tiny figure?
No, so you have to buy, so you buy all 5 figures, and then you buy this little carrying case. And in the carrying case, they all build tiny. Like, each component helps you buy.
Okay. There's a
Build
piece
it.
of it.
He's like,
No kidding.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but you have to buy the case. So it's like, I'm not buying the case. MB looked at me and she's like, "You
I
don't
did.
need that."
Dr.
Like, all right.
Satan!
Like, all right, I'll get it later when you're not looking.
Wow. That's cool.
And Joe got he got the 3-pack.
Got the 3-pack. I was really happy that it didn't show up all banged up, and I was a little sad that I couldn't get Annie and Sheriff Brackett's signatures, but got to be a little patient. We'll wait and see. But yeah, they turned out great. I mean, the artwork for Brackett is incredible.
Yeah.
You see, like, he looks really badass. Like,
He looks great.
the
His jacket,
flashlight and the-
everything. The flashlight looks fucking amazing.
He looks killer. I was like,
Still-
all right.
I still want my. Hey,
He wasn't
call
going to come
me
with a
what you
dead
will.
dog.
I was gonna say, call me what you will. I still want my Lester. I want my Lester or the dead dog figure.
That's awesome.
They're
And-
gonna have to
and
start coming out with cars next, right? Even though we would never open them, right? Just get the car.
Yeah,
Get
just-
the red car,
Shout
get the
out to
Myers
Fright
wagon.
Rags because Joe was nervous about getting his well, I don't want to talk dirty. Joe was nervous about getting his package damaged.
yes.
But shout out to Fright Rags. They always pack things very, very well.
Yes, they do. Shout
I
out.
will
do.
give them that. They do. They always do. So
Man.
give them props. Not that they're watching and they can give a shit less about me. And he got the wallet.
So Trick or Treat Studios also had the wallet there. No bags though. Bags were sold out. And I was like, man, look at the wallet. It just looks so badass. I know you
How
spotlighted
cool
it
is
last
it?
week. It is amazing. It is good quality, and I even might want to use it a couple times. Fuck it.
I honestly,
I might have to switch out my bad motherfucker one with this
you know
one.
what, I would. My problem
Pulp
is
Fiction one.
it's too big to fit in my pocket. Which no, this sounds dirty. It's always dirty with me.
Get your Seinfeld style wall. Make it thick, right?
Yeah, it's like the George Costanza wallet. It's just a little bit too big to fit in my pocket. Otherwise, I'd get a second one and use it myself because I think it's awesome. It's great.
It's awesome. So
That's cool.
Great quality. Stop
Get
it.
3 buttons. Is that right?
Stop it. When you're I love it. I love it. Oh man.
And see, Joe also got
Okay.
Leatherface.
So, all right. So I had ordered these on eBay before our trip. And when I came home, they were in the mailbox. And y'all know we did that episode of All My Toonie Terrors. I found on eBay one of the specialties, the Bloody Leatherface, the Loot Crate Edition. Found him on eBay. He was at home waiting for me from my trip. And look at that. He's so pretty. He just fits in like a dirty shirt. Look at him.
He looks like me with the beer belly after I just ate pasta.
Oh,
I spilled it all over myself.
It's a limited one, is that right?
yeah, it's the Loot Crate edition. So
Loot
this
Crates.
one,
Okay.
yeah, it's not like the regular ones that you find at the stores. These had like a limited release. So these are kind of like the chases, so to speak. But speaking of chase, so of the Toonie Terrors figures, the chase figure is the glow in the dark The Nun, which is the one right there.
Oh, wow.
So I bought that one too on eBay for a pretty good deal. So it just so happened that the ones that I was watching, they actually came up to be pretty good deals. So I finally got the chase, and so there's only one I'm missing, and it's the Bloody Pennywise from the new one, the new remake. So other than that, I have all of the Toonie Terrors. Yeah, I just need that Bloody Pennywise.
Oh, you could have gotten that one autographed, or you don't care to get those signed as much?
No, yeah, I don't care, not as much.
Okay.
But look at this. Okay, so we went to Frightmare not thinking that we were going to get the signature because of the whole ticket fiasco and what have you. So we were on a budget, and we ended up making it happen. We got in line, and we were able to get John Carpenter's signature here. So that was pretty badass. And then we got it authentic. What do you call it? Authenticated.
Yeah, you got a JSA. That's a
JSA.
So that was pretty cool.
James Spence.
Gotta put that in a frame. And then of course Nick Castle. He had some nice pictures and everything with him and the mask with Dr. Pepper can and all that shit. But I couldn't think of a better photo to get it signed. Look at that. The most iconic kill in horror film franchise history.
My favorite.
The best right there. So we added that to the little notebook. So that was fun.
And I think was there one. Oh, there was the poster. That's right, the Big Day Live poster.
So
my
Mondo, of course, you walk away to the left from the trick or treat booth. You walk up a little bit further, and there was Mondo, and they had some new releases, and this was one that I just couldn't pass up, man. So this was the first line we got in to start our Texas Frightmare adventures. Got in line to buy it, and then as soon as we bought it, went in line to see Keith David, and he signed it. So I have that signed by Keith David.
That's a beaut.
Yeah, man, I gotta get
It's a beaut, Clark. It's a beaut.
Is that 1824, right, Joe? I think that's 1824.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Be prepared if you're Mondo, if it's like H40. Oh, God.
Oh, gosh.
They were getting rid of stuff, or they were selling stuff every hour or so.
Man. They were popping until they sold out of everything, and then their line just Saturday they were done.
They were done.
I love those Mondo prints, man. And I missed the boat, and I won't even buy them now because there's no way I'll ever collect them to pay that amount of money.
People, you know what people do? They hoard them, so it's a real bad market to be a part of.
Thanks, GK. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, GK, we did good, bud. Yeah, it's true.
Awesome shite, dude. So obviously we tailored it around Dustin being there tonight, but he couldn't stay for everything, which he kind of mentioned. He's like, originally he wasn't supposed to be here till 9 o'clock, but it was great that he gave us all the time he could. And we
kind of worked out in a weird way, didn't it?
Yeah. Every week we do a movie review, and we talked about doing Phantasm because of his love of Phantasm. So we're going to do our quick movie review of Phantasm. So funny story. Last night, I told you. For those that don't know, my son's car had been dead up at his college for the past 6 months. So yesterday we rented a U-Haul flatbed and attached it to my truck, and we went out 3 hours to his college and drove that piece of shit. Now it's probably just going to become a planter in my driveway because my son didn't want to get rid of it because he's a hoarder. Won't get rid of anything. So shit, where was I going with this? Oh, so last night I was exhausted. Everybody went to bed, and I was sitting down here. I'd fallen asleep upstairs. I'm like, I'm going to go downstairs, get some shit ready for the podcast and some other stuff I'm working on. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to review Phantasm. I know the movie pretty well, but I'm like, oh, okay, it's on Tubi for free. So let me just throw it on. I put it on, and it said, as soon as Don Coscarelli's name came on, I was like,
Good night.
I had two
I was
sittings
so-
with it, Pat. Same thing. 2 sittings.
I was out. I woke up this morning and the TV was just like showing like like the screensaver. I'm like, wow, that was a good review. I mean, I know the movie enough to give it a good review, so I'll go first. Now this was a surprise to me back in the day because I remember going back to the early '80s when my cousins and I would just go up to the video store near me. It was called Video Plus. It was in the next town over for me. It was in Cliffside Park, where they filmed Big, the movie Big from Tom Hanks. So it was right on the main drag up there. So we used to go up there, ride our bikes, and rent movies. And the guy was kind of cool because he knew us. We weren't troublemakers, so he let us rent rated R movies by giving us a hard time. So I remember we're looking and renting all these different movies, and if you remember the cover, I have the VHS somewhere. The cover is all red, and it shows them like this. The whole, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's probably the poster too.
Yeah.
So I'm like this. I think this looks pretty good. Let's take this home and rent it. And we watched it, and what a fun movie! It's just a fun movie. Now, albeit I don't know the whole lore around Phantasm to really understand the whole ending part of it, whether it was a dream. I mean, I know if you watch it, you kind of think it was a dream because he wakes up and his brother is dead, and Reggie's the guy that's really caring for him. But then he's in his bed towards the end, and we see him come out of the mirror, and it's like he takes him. So, like, was parts of it a dream? Maybe people would know better than I. But to me, it's great. It's got one of the cutest blondes I loved at the time. The blonde girl whose mother was the grandmother was the like mystic woman. Remember the cute blonde? And then she goes for some stupid reason. She goes there, and then she gets killed.
Yeah,
she ends up going there, and you're like, well, what the fuck did you do that for?
The lady in lavender, is that right? Is that her? No.
Is that what her name was? She was
Kathy Lester's
she was the grandmother, and the blonde was so cute. And the other two girls later on that were like minding him, and they ended up getting killed.
Yeah,
they were cute. Yeah, but to me, this movie was a mixture of fun, sci-fi, and comedy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
the scares are somewhat
somewhat there. To me, it was not a scary movie as far as I'm concerned. To me, it was more of a fun movie. So the part, like I was telling Dustin when he was here earlier, and Brett was not. To this day, I'll be out somewhere with my cousin. My cousin will put his hand on my shoulder and be like, "The funeral's about to begin, sir."
That's all right.
And we'll just laugh. My wife's like, "What the fuck?" And we'll just look at each other and we'll like say, "I'm like, I was no gopher." Because remember what with the finger?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it was probably a gopher. It was no gopher. And eventually the finger, when he traps the finger in the little box, it becomes that really creepy looking fly that comes in.
So stupid. Yeah, I love it.
Reggie walks in like, hey, what's going on? He's like, what the fuck? I mean, it's not a review of the entire movie. I can go on because I love this movie. It's a lot of fun. So for me, this movie is nostalgic. It's fun. It's definitely it reeks of 80s, but it actually came out in 79.
79.
It reeks of that 80s vibe. Shout out to Don Coscarelli because it's a lot of fun. It's got a really good soundtrack too. Like the creepy music is very Carpenter-esque if you listen to it. So for me, if we're our usual, 1 through 5, I'd give this a solid 4.
Oh wow. Okay.
1 through 5? We're going out of 5? Oh, okay.
Are we doing 1 through 5 or are we going to do part 1 through 10? Jesus, I don't even remember now because I just did my review. The reviews I'm doing now. I just did my review of the Warriors. I just finished Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and I was doing 1 through 4. So we do 1 through 10 on this, right?
Yeah.
So if we do 1 through 10, I'll give it a solid 8.5.
There you go.
Very nice.
Oh, he gives it an extra half there.
See, I know my arithmetic. I can average it off.
That's funny. You want to go next there, Brady, or you want me to go?
You go, Joe.
All right. Well, I gotta say, I remember watching this movie countless times as a kid, and the freaking Sentinel. I mean, it would like the scenes where shh, and the death scene where it stabs that guy in the forehead and it's fucking shooting out blood.
The ball. Yes.
That scene in itself kind of was worth the price of admission for this film. because I really, when you're younger, you don't really understand it. And even as an adult now, I don't really understand the ending. But I just remember how badass that kid was. And he was very courageous, and he really didn't take no shit. And the tall man was very creepy. The little fucking dwarf zombies, whatever the fuck they were,
Like
those little
Ewoks.
bastards, the little Ewoks were
They
creepy.
come out of the box. Ah!
Yeah, it was like when you think of something that's different, when you think of entertaining, when you think of a different realm of possibilities, Phantasm gave you that. It wasn't just your standard like slasher. I remember I got in trouble for watching it because in the opening scene, that girl has her boobie pop out, and it's a tall man disguised as that girl.
Nice tits too.
Yeah,
And
very,
they
very
concentrated
lovely.
on the legs in that scene quite a lot.
Yeah, they really did. And it was. I remember getting in trouble for watching that, and I was like, I didn't know. Phantasm. I'm thinking like Disney fantasy. I didn't know. So I can remember this movie always being a big influence growing up, and always on HBO growing up. And so for me, it's got to be. Oh my gosh, out of 10, I got to give it an 8 out of 10 because the first one is the best.
First one. Yeah, we're just
First
doing
one
the
is
first
the
one.
best one.
The rest of them.
A lot of people like 2 a lot more than 1. I haven't seen 2 in God knows how long.
2 was a good sequel,
Yeah.
and for those that like it more, and I respect their opinion, but the first one.
2 is decent, but to me,
fun
it's
watch.
It's not better than the first, but it is good.
No.
Yeah.
And this is and good shout out to Steve. Steve, tall man is a woman, kind of normal nowadays. I'm looking at you, Bruce Caitlyn Jenner. But all I have to say is,
there you go.
Hey, look, I'm hard up enough, man. If the tall man looked like her, I'd like, yeah, I'll do her. I'll do him, whatever. She was cute as hell.
That's how he got his victims, though. That's how he
lured
lured them in.
She was cute as hell. Let's give her that. And she had some nice lungs.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's nice.
This movie, I did not watch it right away before I got into horror. I caught it later on in life, and I could see why it's got a following. There's no doubt about it. Easily Reggie Bannister and Angus Scrimm really make this series, right? As the tall man, they're the two that they're the backbones of the series here. But I'll tell you, there's that one scene where he's got his back behind the walls in the in the funeral parlor, and they crawl and take him in. Oh God, that got me when I first saw that.
That was creepy.
Yeah, that was very creepy. I guess what it boils down to is the sequels don't really maybe make the first one as good. It's been a long time since I've seen it, though, guys. I want to explore it again. I watched it, like Pat said, I was halfway through it. I just fall asleep. Then I watched it, the second half of it, halfway through it again. So if I got to give it a review from what I like it, I'm going to give it a 7. Solid 7.
There you go.
Not a bad review. Not bad at all.
Yeah,
great movie.
Moves a little slow a bit at first, but then it really starts picking up. And I laugh at the silly stuff, when he falls off the motorcycle as he's riding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it to me, it's a very later second and third act movie. That's where it really picks up.
I should say Don Casarelli too. He's the guy that obviously wrote and directed it, so it's his beast.
Yeah, let us know in the chat. Let us know after the fact what do you guys think of Phantasm. I mean, great, fun movie, classic, nostalgic, and shout out to the late great Angus Scrimm.
When was Phantasm 2? How much for I'm looking it up here. So it was
Look it up.
Wow, it was 9 years later. There was 9 years between movies.
Granted, because I remember you remember back in the early 80s, Phantasm was not a hit because most B movies did not become hits because a lot of them were direct to video or they had limited screen time or they were like drive-in theater movies. Halloween could have had the same fate, but fortunately, it took a different direction.
And isn't one of the signatures they do in all of them is the definition of phantasm at the beginning? Isn't that the big thing they do at the beginning of every single one? Or at least the first 2 I know of, right? They got the definition.
Yeah.
The first movie doesn't have any definitions in front of it.
I thought it has the phantasm definition at the beginning. No.
Maybe.
Talking about the very beginning.
The very beginning, it says the name of the movie, Phantasm, but then it goes directly to the scene of the morning sign.
Maybe I'm getting the second movie mixed up. Phantasm 3 was 1994. Good Lord.
Got me thinking now.
I think I saw Phantasm 4. That's in 98.
I've seen I know I've seen 2, and I know I've seen 3, but I don't think I've seen anything beyond that.
Wow, Phantasm.
What was the
one?
one?
2016. Holy cow!
So if you guys have seen the other ones or anybody in the chat, let me know. Or after the fact, I did see what was the one where it's like he's going back. It's almost like an alternate reality where he's seeing the origin of the tall man, and he's seeing him as a family man.
Is that the fourth one?
And his
No.
brother is actually corrupted, and he's like almost like the tall man in it. What one was that?
Wow, the last one they made was in 2016. Daniel Roebuck was in it.
I saw that one, and I think that might have been 4. I think it was Phantasm 4.
Yeah,
That was probably the
Oblivion,
last one I
right?
saw. That might have been
Travels
the last one
through
I saw.
time. Mike travels through time and
He
dimensions.
travels
to
through
find
time,
the tall
and he
man's
goes
origin.
back and he sees the tall man as a family man and everything.
I think I've actually seen this one too, Pat.
Yeah,
'Cause
that
I
one.
remember the cover.
That might be
that
the last
cover-
one I saw.
That cover is very extinct. That cover.
That's the last one I saw, and that was the one where they travel back in time, which actually was a pretty cool concept because you got to see tall man and sort of it's almost like an origin backstory of the tall man, which is pretty cool.
Now,
Steve
Don Coscarelli
says,
did them all except for the last one, but he did write the last
Well,
one.
actually, I know. Well, I went on Tubi last night, and Phantasm, the original, was on Tubi, so I don't. There might be a few more that are free. And quite honestly, not to say that they suck, but I wouldn't pay for them. So if they're free, I'll watch them, and
Now,
we'll talk
maybe you
about it.
guys knew this. They made an animated movie too, Extinction, in 2017.
I did not know that. They made an animated Phantasm?
Yeah, it's an hour one.
Did not know about that one.
I was not aware of that.
I was not aware of that.
Phantasm Extinction. Look at that thing.
I did not know anything about that.
Very nice.
Very nice. How much?
Very nice. So much. And so let's we'll move on. So that was our movie review. Let us know what you think of Phantasm in the chat. Let us know after the fact. Pull our finger, whatever you feel the need to do. That is our movie review of this week. And then we all try to find new things to watch and see. And what did you guys watch this week? So I didn't watch anything out of the ordinary except I did watch the beginning credits of Phantasm last night.
Very
That was
nice.
about as far as I got. Then I did watch. Don't ask me why. I was sitting down the other night having a beer, and I went on. I was on Pluto because that's what I like to watch. Sat through Valley Girl again because Valley Girl is a movie of my youth, which I love. Love Valley Girl. Friday the 13th Part 2. Everybody knows my love of Friday the 13th Part 2. My favorite
Very
in the
nice.
franchise. And I did go back, if those not to be a shameless plug whore. I just did do my review of The Warriors, and I just did my latest review, which will be out later this week, of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, made for TV movie with Kim Darby, Deborah Myers from Part 6, which was actually like I was telling Dustin, I'm doing it now. It's very I'm going through all the nostalgia first to get it out of the way. And nostalgia, of course, The Warriors, which my buddies here know the nostalgia behind it. And Don't Be Afraid of the Dark was the first horror movie I ever saw. So I thought, you know what? Why not start at the beginning and say, this is the movie, the first horror movie I ever saw, scared the shit out of me. It turned me into this wacko, fat, bald, psychotic son of a bitch that I am now.
But we still love you. We still love you.
That's why you guys have a screw loose, because you still like me.
I mean, I watched a bunch of random shit. We did a Yellowstone marathon. So we just finished the first season, and we're like on season 2, episode 2, some shit like that. And it's good. Have y'all seen Yellowstone yet?
I started watching it too, Joe. Yep.
I have to because
bro.
you've mentioned it before, and other people have told me about it, and I'm trying to find a time. That might be and I've told my wife about it, she's interested. So that might be like a cold weather thing. I think when the cold weather comes around, me and the wife sit around more and watch TV. I think we're going to binge watch.
There's so much to binge
Is it finished or is it still going?
It's still going. So they're doing a part 2 of the last season. So it's going to resume soon, but it's the last season. So 5 seasons and then they're done. It's already been announced. But no, the episodes are, dude, they just seems like there's a lot of trouble that goes on in this damn town, and everybody's greedy, and
Always
everybody
is.
wants to steal. It's really good. It's good TV. Fuck it.
Yeah, and I think Costner's leaving, right? They're losing a couple of different people.
Yeah, I think he's outie. And he's the best part. That's my opinion. But so we watched that, and then I watched Blazing Saddles because they just put it on Prime. So I watched it. Of course.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Exactly. Then I watched.
We will do a watch along if we get thrown off YouTube. So be it. We'll be doing a watch along of Blazing Saddles, and my son's like, I will be there.
That's right. Then y'all don't like this one. I watched Happy Gilmore. So Happy Gilmore, it's all in the hip.
Green jacket.
Who gives a shit? You know. And I know I watched the horror movie, but I can't think off the top of my head what the hell it was. It left me for some reason. But yeah, it was mostly predominantly comedy and then some Yellowstone. So
Nice.
So Steve's saying Phantasm 8 out of 10. Yeah, that's respectable. I like Phantasm. The original one is a lot of fun. You know, it's to me, it's just nostalgic as fuck. There's a reason the first two are considered classics, the rest are never brought up. Yeah, the first two are good, but the one number, I think Brett mentioned number 4 was the one where he travels back in time. I actually enjoyed that one.
Oblivion.
I mean, yeah, it was a little weird how the brother became the evil one, which was a little odd, but it was interesting, to say the least. So get the open credits of Idle Hands with the bodies and the blood scared the crap out of me. Idle Hands, go back and watch. Well, I think Travis he's great. He always watches. We did our review of Idle Hands. Idle Hands was a lot of fun.
Phantasm works for like it makes you think of like how Fright Night is. You know, the kid's trying to wonder what the hell's going on in the house, what the hell's going on at this funeral parlor, right? So it's just the mystique of what's going on and the buildup of what it is.
It's that wondering what's going on. We can equate it to one of all three of us, one of our favorites. What's going on in there? Fright Night.
Yeah.
He wants to know what the fuck's going on next door. Yeah,
might have to watch that movie. Watch it.
Oh God, what a great movie! Steve said I watched H3, H ends, and so save your energy, Steve, because we're watching Halloween Kills on Tuesday night for our watch along.
That's gonna be fun. That'll be fun.
Oh yeah,
I'm joining us for Halloween Kills on Tuesday night at 9 Eastern.
Halloween kills it.
Halloween kills that bitch. What about you, Brett? What say you, Bretty?
Yeah, two nights of Phantasm, half asleep, which next time might have to figure that out. I finished Barry, that ended last weekend, and still watch that show, guys, if you haven't seen it. It ended quite interestingly. So
I've watched a couple episodes. I got to watch it all, though, man. I got to
because they're short. Like some people might say, it wasn't that great, but if you go get all the way through it, I think you'll say, you know what, that was entertaining. So there's some random episodes throughout that they'll stick in your head. You'll be like, that's one of the wildest things you've seen. So nice. Ted Lasso ended. You know, Ted Lasso's looks like it's gonna be a spinoff of some sort, but we'll see. So Ted Lasso ended very well. I've been watching Fubar with Arnold. I'm telling you, any Arnold fans out there?
We were almost there. Almost gonna. Once we're doing Yellowstone,
come on, get to it now.
Have you watched the Stallone thing with him and his family yet? I haven't watched it yet.
I did not watch the reality
but
show.
I want to.
That's one I want to watch, and admittedly, I just haven't had the chance to watch that.
It's on Paramount.
Is it Paramount?
Paramount.
Yeah. Well, that's it. All these. God, I'm tired of paying for all these fucking services, but it looks pretty cool. So I just wasn't sure if either of you guys watched it. Yeah, I was curious.
Not
if they
yet.
did.
I will check it out, obviously, for obvious reasons. So
no, not you. No.
I did. No. I sent you guys the messages when I got those Blu-rays. I turned on that Rocky versus Drago just to watch that as I was working. So I watched that again. That's a different cut. I have a new TV in my garage, and we were playing basketball. We turned on Teen Wolf. Good basketball.
Oh God!
Teen Wolf was on, and so that song they play at the end. It's like so addicting. So my son and I are playing one-on-one with that song.
When he makes the basket
in the end.
Yes,
I have to revisit that movie. It's been I probably haven't seen it 20, 30 years.
I love it when he jumps and chubs his arms. Like it's so good. Oh my God!
And then you got that one guy that's such a jag off on the team. It's all your fault, Howard. And then you got Chubbs. Who steals Pee Wee's bike. That guy. Or eats the coin in the Leprechaun. I forgot the actor's name.
He's the best. That guy's awesome.
I'm going to tell you, when I met Michael J. Fox, everybody's getting Back to the Future stuff signed. I brought a Teen Wolf poster up to him. He's like, "Oh, this is so different."
Yes.
He actually commented about it. I was like, "That's awesome." But yeah, that's what I watched. Teen Wolf is a childhood favorite.
Have you guys seen it yet? I haven't seen Fast. Not to piss on anybody's stuff. I am the furthest person from a fan of the Fast and Furious movies. I couldn't get through the first one, to be honest with you. So anybody seen
Are they
Fast
going to
X?
space with the cars now or something like that?
So I have not. So how was Fast X? I'm just curious.
I did not watch it. I only liked the first one,
Doesn't
and
do
that's
anything for me.
it.
Yeah, I didn't even get through the first one. Doesn't do anything for me. So
Rock is in a post-credit scene, so we'll see how that goes. I haven't seen it yet.
God. When is
everybody's
it
like,
gonna
when at
end?
the end? You gotta
Yeah,
win at the
see,
end.
Blake knows it. It's a
When
great
is it-
song.
When is it going to end? This whole fast.
Look at Joe, the hard guy. He's going to rewatch Halloween 5. Oh, not to go back to Dustin McNeil. I love it, but he brought up the soundtrack to Halloween 5. I love those songs that are on the first side of the soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
I love those
song
songs.
when Ellie Cornell's going in the shower. That song, right? Are you
yeah.
thinking of
That
that
is
song?
I know that's Romeo. That's why it's like my wife be like, I am embarrassed to be married to you. How do you know this shit? I love that first side, all those like cheesy songs, and it's great that he brought that up. So I love that he loved that stuff.
That's awesome.
In Fast
man.
X, they battle the Decepticons.
Oh, that's funny.
Honestly, and like I don't knock the franchise. It's not for me. If you love the Fast and Furious franchise, I applaud you. That's awesome. I tried to sit down and watch the first one. Halfway through it, I'm like, you know what? I need a beer. I gotta go.
I'm honestly.
This wasn't
my
for me. Wasn't for me.
I haven't watched it in 3 movies. I think. I think after they did the Paul Walker double person for him, like his brother. That's the last time I watched it.
And my daughter is the biggest fan of this franchise, and I can't stand it. I can't fucking stand it.
It just
It
did
is-
nothing for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I
Vin Diesel needs to start doing something else.
if people love it, more power to you. I would never knock anybody for their opinion. Everybody's got an opinion. They're like
Hey, well,
assholes.
He was
Hey,
making-
Halloween 5's good out there. Okay, Who
I
are we
think-
talking about?
Halloween 5?
Yeah, we'll see Vin Diesel doing more because he's not getting paid for I Am Groot anymore. So we'll see him.
I
do
am
some
Groot.
movie.
It's like a
Yeah.
name for Groot.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll do as my daughter said because she didn't read it right. The Pacific or 2.
Yeah, the passive. You know what? I wish he would go back to do Pitch Black movies. Remember?
Oh,
that
you
movie,
like
Pitch
that
Black?
character? What's his name?
Damn, with the eyes.
Cage, right? Or
Is
no?
that his name? No, that's. Oh, you're talking about Triple X.
that's
Xander Cage. But I'm talking about Pitch Black. You remember that movie? Where
Oh,
they're
Pitch
like,
Black's the first one. Yeah, where they can't see those things in the dark. Yeah,
Yes,
that was
yes.
his first one. But he did 3 or 4
Yes.
of those movies.
yeah, he did I want him to go back to something like that, like more of a,
That is a really good analogy, Blake. I give you
Riddick,
that.
Chronicles of Riddick. There you go, Blake.
Yeah,
I saw
there
the
you
original
go.
in theaters. A 14-year-old said it was a Point Break ripoff, and they never made another one. Yeah, you're absolutely right. To me, it was I love Point Break. To me,
The original Point Break is a
The original.
classic.
The original with Swayze and
Hey, you never put your gun in the air and go
Hell's
What movie? You never put your gun in the air and go I'm gonna let. That's a little trivia. Okay,
What is that? I should know that.
it's a comedy movie. But
Joseph Vin Diesel in a Halloween
Vin
movie.
Diesel
Oh, no.
Halloween movie. Oh, I don't know.
Well,
evil
you know-
dies tonight, but if you ain't first or last. Oh, that's
I can see him. I can see the casting agent now. Okay, read scene 1. Say Michael, trick or treat, motherfucker. See how he says it.
You know the ending to Teen Wolf pretty well, Joe. At least you know how there's the big blooper at the end
Yes.
with the pants.
Yes.
So my wife knows there's like there's like a lore about that, like it's unintentional or it's intentional and nothing happens. Have you heard about the ending of that, Pat? With this guy in the stands in the bleachers,
No.
his pants are open and his something's hanging out.
Yeah.
His zipper.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, it
Hey,
was
there you
like,
go, Blake. Yeah. Yeah. You never put your gun in the air and go
Oh, Shaun of the Dead. That's one of Joe's.
I should
big
know that.
that's
Hot
one of his
Fuzz is a
favorites.
great film too. And Joe, I like Hot Fuzz more than Shaun of the Dead. That might be sacrilegious.
No. I love them all. I love the Cornetto trilogy. I love them all. He has his wiener out.
And you see,
I'm going to tell you right now, when the stream is over, I'm going to go
Excuse
over here to
me.
my garage,
Oh,
have
I
a cigar,
watched this
and I'm going to
kid
be
without-
I'm going to YouTube it right now because not that I want to see somebody's dick, because I'm just curious to see it.
My wife's just like, you're not going to pause that. I'm like, in front of our 8-year-old son.
Honestly,
you gotta
guys,
pay attention to really notice it.
the last time I saw Teen Wolf was probably the last time I watched Howard the Duck. For Christ's sake.
Oh God, here we
I
go.
love Howard the Duck. Oh.
So you're looking at
Or
30
Harry
some
and
odd years
Henderson's.
ago. Harry and Henderson's, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my
That's
God.
good stuff. But yeah, Teen Wolf 2 I might have to check out again, but I know it's horrible. Uh-oh. Did somebody message me?
I was just saying,
No,
it's Joe. It's Joe. I'm like, who's
It's me.
messaging me?
It's me. It's
He already did.
It's Joe.
me.
Oh no, he did the other one.
The second
Oh, can we
video.
get made fun of it too? Oh,
Yeah,
I have to check it out.
The second video is the one I think it has it all, but it's fucking funny, dude. Oh my god.
Speaking of Hot Fuzz, Joe, look, if you can always look at old posters on Mondo's website. Look at the Hot Fuzz ones. I was able to get one of the releases. There's some real nice Hot Fuzz arts on there. You should look at this.
Dude, Hot Fuzz, man. In terms of being horror and action and comedy, it's amazing. It is amazing, dude.
You know, if you could have thrown the Broken Lizard guys in that movie with them, I would have.
Oh, that would be a great mashup, man. That would be the Super Troopers with Hot Fuzz. Like
those guys together working would do. Oh, especially after. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of Club Dread. No offense, to anybody in the chat room. It's not one of my favorites that they've done. Other people like it, but maybe I don't know. Do you guys like Club Dread?
I dig it.
It's
not the best,
okay,
but it's okay.
not the best.
Yeah,
It's all right.
I almost forgot. I'm sitting here watching. I'm like, when we did our additions to our collection, I almost forgot. I got the shirt
Hey,
there it is. That's right, Pat.
with Loomis.
And
Very
I think Pat,
nice.
you agreed. If Loomis wasn't on the bottom, I don't know if I would have.
I wouldn't have bought it.
Yes.
The only reason I bought it
Loomis
was
is the nice touch.
Oh, this is a good question by Blake. So I saw there's a rumor mill going. They're talking about doing a series or a direct sequel. I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, he said he's going to do a lot of work behind the scenes. But I don't know.
Dude, that should become a show. I think if it became a show, I think that could be cool.
I think
give that a show.
If he's involved to be like an executive producer, I don't think he'll ever direct a movie again. Just because the way he is.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion. I saw that too, and I was super excited because because you really don't know how it ends. You don't know who the thing was. It was never identified. So I'd love to know where they pick up after it. Obviously, it's been 40 years.
I believe they have chatted about it, right? John Carpenter and Kurt Russell have chatted about it, right?
Yeah.
Well, they both said, guys, we're a little long in the tooth. It's either now or never.
Yeah.
Well, remember, he's Kurt Russell's supposedly coming back as Snake Plissken, and I don't know if it's like a past
grandfather
type thing or something like that. Yeah.
No offense to I mean, because believe me, he looks better than I do. No offense to him, but it's like, come on, you can't do. And I was never the biggest fan of Escape from LA. It didn't suck, but it wasn't my favorite. I mean,
there's good parts of it, but that CGI stuff is kind of
the CGI stuff. Exactly, the CGI really took me out of that film. Really,
he's got a great cast in it, though. You can't take away the people he got in that movie.
Which is going to be our next segment, guys. So hang out.
Forgot
Our top 5 cast ensembles.
That might be one of the next.
I love that word. Ensembles.
I put Kurt Russell in the upper echelon of actors who can kick ass at an older age. So I got Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
You got Harrison Ford. I mean, just think about it. And then we just watched Yellowstone. Fucking Kevin Costner is fucking killing it. He's doing running scenes and jumping over fences and doing shit. I'm like, hey man, this is a different. They're like the LeBrons of the acting world.
You know who you could put in there too, Joe? Is Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson
got older out of nowhere.
Guys, bite your lip. That's a good topic because I was thinking of another person. So let's hold that topic. Who is in that echelon of the older actors? Because the first person that came to mind to me, because over the winter, I told you guys we just binge watched The Ranch. I love Sam Elliott.
Sam, he's another one.
He's right up there. So Pat, let's put a button in it and save that son of a bitch.
But Pat, you could also we haven't even brought up women too. So you could put women in there too.
Oh, we could do a man episode and a female and all that.
Yeah, we can split them up or do them both. And
hey, look at Blake, Paul Rubens.
hanging out in the porn theater.
Oh,
Hamburger
my God.
dude. See the girls in the wax museum that did him in wax. Did you guys ever see him? Remember when he was the hamburger dude in Nice Dreams with
Yep.
and
Cheech
well, I told you guys. Did I tell you guys that when we were we were camping? Was it last weekend? We were camping.
Take care, Joseph. See you, bud.
Later, Joseph. We were camping last weekend, and the wife felt it was the one night that was me and my wife all by ourselves. Me and my wife thought we'd have a couple drinks, we'd have a fun night. We have 2 puppies. It's like having 2 fucking kids. So, long story short, she falls asleep, and I'm like, you know what? I have a thumb drive that I plug into the TV, and it's filled with movies. I'm like, you know what I'm gonna watch? I watched Up in Smoke.
Oh shit!
No worries. I'm just gonna watch Up in Smoke.
Next morning, I woke up. I'm laughing. My wife's like, "Why are you laughing to yourself?" I said, "Because I watched Up in Smoke last night." She's like, "You did?" I said, "Yeah." And obviously, it's different than Nice Dreams, because that's when Paul Rubens was in Nice Dreams. It was the hamburger dude.
Remember Things Are Tough All Over? My uncle watched that one all the time when he lived with us for a bit.
Oh, that was the best when
Things
the
Are
Arab
Tough
guy.
All Over is wild.
When and he says like, "Oh, I love the way you did my hair. I'll give you my herpes." He's like, "No, that's okay. You don't give me my herpes." "No, I'll give you my herpes."
Are we going to talk
my
born in
herpes-
East LA?
I don't need my herpes anymore. I'll give you my herpes. He's like, "No, that's okay. You don't have to." He was going to give him his hairpiece because he was bald. So I do it all the time to my wife. I'm like, "You want my herpes? I'll give you my herpes."
That's too funny.
Cheech had a good little small role in that Champions with Woody Harrelson, running the school or where they practice. He's
That's
in
what I
that
gotta
for
watch.
small.
That's gonna be on my list this week. I gotta watch that. What is it streaming on?
It was on the cock.
Peacock.
I was like, probably. I heard. I'm like, the cock?
It's on the peacocking. Okay, sure.
Oh no.
I'm loose.
What is it about good sex that makes me have to crap?
Oh my goodness.
Like Simon and Garfunkel in that scene.
Oh.
Man. Look at
I
that.
forgot what we were doing. Okay, so actually, we're moving on to our next.
Oh,
topic.
Travis, you're killing us there. Okay, I got you. Well, yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, save that thought. We'll be doing our this is our top 5 for the week. Hang out, let's do it.
Top
Let's do our top 5 cast ensembles. Now, this was one we've been talking about for weeks. We've been talking about this for weeks because it's such a broad, and this was not easy. And I admittedly did a crash course in this because I had a really busy weekend. And I sat down this morning. I woke up. I'm like, fuck, get all this shit ready for the podcast. And then I had to go to band practice. And when I go to band practice, it usually means I'm doing not only just playing my guitar, but also be doing shots with the bass player for like 2 hours. So I'm like, I need to do it all now because there's no way in hell I'll do it when I come back. So this was tough. So I will start with my number 5, going back to my youth of the 80s. Top 5 cast ensembles. Number 5 for me, The Outsiders.
Damn.
Oh yeah, good one, dude.
You ain't fucking around, are you?
Hey, Golden Pony Boy.
Wow.
That was a big movie when I was a kid, man. That was big.
Read the book in high school or school, grade school, right?
We read the book. I've never
S.E.
seen the
Hinton,
film.
right? Is that the
So in that? So let's think. So you had C. Thomas Howell. You had Emilio Estevez in there. You had Matt Dillon,
Ralph Macchio,
Sweep the leg.
the Estevez Sheen brothers, right?
the Sheen brothers. I mean, just amazing cast of up and comers. That just so that when we talked about this, I probably should have been higher, but these other ones, while I love that movie, these probably, you know how when you look at something at a specific time, certain things shift.
Oh yeah.
So this might move up a little bit further, but that was one of the first ones that came to mind when I was a kid. That was just a big movie.
Good one.
Oh man.
Talk amongst yourself. Who wants to go first?
I'll go next. This one, just because of how funny it was, and I really was happy with the casting and Tropic Thunder, man.
Yeah.
Tropic Thunder.
Oh, good one. Downey Jr., man.
Yeah, man, you had Tom Cruise, Ben Stiller, Jack
Mhm.
Black. Man, the list is endless. Matthew McConaughey. You just go on, and that movie was so much fun and hilarious. Can't get away with doing that shit nowadays, but I liked everything about that movie. The cast was top notch, man. Fucking hilarious.
Shout out to Blake. This is one of my fun movies to watch. I love JFK.
Oh, a lot in there.
Wow.
Oliver Stone.
What a great movie. I mean, aside from just the cast ensemble itself, I just love the subject matter and the way he makes you think about the different conspiracy theories. Great fucking movie.
Oh,
Amazing.
yeah. Good stuff. Well,
Good shit.
I think I don't know if you guys, I'm sure we should all have a Quentin Tarantino movie, at least one in our top five.
Absolutely.
My number 5 is the newest
don't.
one of his stuff. You don't? Wow. How about that, Pat? No, okay. The newest one of his bunch that he's made, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's become one of my more favorite films. You're talking about Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Emile Hirsch, Timothy Olyphant's in it. Danielle Harris has a scene in it, which a lot of people forget. Bruce Dern, Dakota Fanning, Luke Perry's in it. That was his last thing, right? Al Pacino, Kurt Russell,
Amazing.
Damian Lewis. The list just goes on in this thing. But have you guys both seen it?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's I don't know. It might not be my favorite Tarantino movie, but it might be up there as maybe number 2 at least. It's
My mind always goes. I do have a Tarantino movie, but my mind always goes back to older movies when we do shit like this. So that's the dynamic that I love, because we're all we all go back. We go to different periods. So like when you're mentioning, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even think of that. Now I have to go back and revisit that. That's what's fun about this.
Yeah, from current standpoint, and
yeah.
I just like, I guess with what happens in the movie, they kind of Quentin Tarantino went a different direction of how that all went down, which I thought was, I just thought it was just outstanding. The end of that film, the last, if you need to just watch the last 25 minutes of the movie, if you understand what's happened, if you've been told what happened before that, watch the last 25 minutes of the movie. Oh man, a lot of fun. But yeah, that's my number 5. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Very, very good.
Very nice.
So my number 4, albeit it's a remake, but you can't deny the list of people that's in this fucking film, Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
I
was toying with it, Pat. I was toying with it.
You can do the original or the remake.
You could do the original. You could do all 3 of Ocean's 11, 12, 13. You could do all of them. But for me, the first one stands out as my favorite of the trilogy of the remake, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing cast in that freaking film.
And it goes with the sequels too. But
that's what I'm saying. You could just keep going, and we could just do a whole friggin' thing on all 3 of them. It's like a trilogy.
Amazing.
Yeah, Travis. Yeah, Oliver Stone usually had he had a lot of good movies with casts. Even like Natural Born Killers has got a great cast.
Oh yeah.
Sorry if it's brought up. I didn't mean to. I was just going off his comment.
Or the Doors. Oh God, I love the Doors.
Yeah. Whew, list goes on.
What you got? What say you, Joe?
Golly, man. So the list, I mean, it's hard to narrow it because it just depends on what's your cup of tea, right? Like, what do you want in a movie?
This is good because it's a very good range here. I love this range.
Like, for me, it's another comedy, and it's something that always stuck with me, like, because of this line, Black Panther, you know, and you'll get it. Anchorman. The Legend of Ron Burgundy. I mean, you got Paul Rudd, Will Ferrell, Steve Carell. I mean, you just go off and just, you know, even Anchorman 2, 1 and 2, you can put them together. Fine. It's so funny. Y'all know the lines they're all quotable. Yeah, I had to go with Anchorman, man. It was the best. They work so well together. They work so great.
Wow. Yeah.
Blake thrown in there is number 4. The other one.
Yeah, I couldn't choose between which one. If I had to do, I would go 2 because of Chuck Norris, probably.
Yeah, and Van Damme. Yeah,
and Van Damme. The third one, you've got Harrison Ford and Mel Gibson.
God, that one's hard.
That's why I couldn't put. I don't have one of the expendable movies in my list. I would have if you're going to combine like a series like Ocean's 11. like you want to do a series of the best cast, that could be something off board next time too. But
By far.
yeah. Oh, my next one is a top 10. It would be Heat from 1990.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Heat
Absolutely.
is
Yes.
got probably one of the best action sequences ever outside in the
Oh,
from the bank
yes.
robbery. It's a Michael Mann film. Michael Mann's made some really good stuff. We're talking Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer, John Voight, Tom Sizemore, rest his soul, right? Diane Venora that plays isn't that Pacino's wife in the movie, right? Amy Brenneman, Ashley Judd. God, the list. Ted Levine. Ted Levine's a great actor. Dennis Haysbert, William Fisher, Natalie Portman, a young Natalie Portman, right? Tom Noonan, Hank Azaria. God, the list goes on. Danny Trejo, Henry Rollins. But
Amazing.
I'll go. That's about where I'll stop at that. But that's and now they just came out with a prequel book, so I'm thinking about going to pick up that book I got plenty of other books to read. But
Aren't they planning to put that to film, or am I
they
wrong?
are because Michael Mann's a
Right.
part of it. Yeah,
Yeah, because I thought I heard
book.
that. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
That movie, it's just the atmosphere of the movie, the music. Moby did a lot of the music. I don't know if you guys are big Moby fans. I like some of the stuff Moby's done.
I could give or take. Yeah,
Give or take. Gotcha. But yeah, Heat, great film.
very
Amazing.
very cool. So my number 3, because there's a laundry list of mob films, and this is one that is near and dear to my heart, and show my age again because the people that are in this are very well known. And this is one of the ones that came off the top of my head. Shout out to the late great Ray Liotta, but Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Oh.
I toyed with this because it's one of my
Of
favorite
course.
movies too.
It's one of my favorite films. I had to put it on the list. One of my favorite films. I mean, you got De Niro, you got obviously Liotta. Wow, I should have wrote the names down like you did. You were a little bit more.
I just
than I
have
am.
them on the list as I was going through. Really
I know
quick.
all the people. I'm looking at all of them, and I'm just like I know all their names, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But
You got Samuel Jackson in a small scene in that.
Samuel Jackson is in
Scene or
there.
two.
Amazing.
Paul Sorvino, right?
Paul Sor- Thank you. Just throw their names out because I can't. I'm not.
Lorraine
remembering them.
Bracco.
Lorraine Bracco. I mean, just what a cast. I should have wrote it down like a jackass. What a cast, and everybody just blended together perfectly, and just it worked perfectly.
Did you say Pesci? You said Pesci, right? I hope you said Pesci.
Oh, yeah.
Pesci. No, yeah, of course. So that is definitely it's one of my favorite films. Yeah. I'm not a big mob movie guy. There's a few that I really, really love. It's probably about 5 mob movies that I just go back to and love. And even if you don't love mob movies, that is just a fun movie to watch.
Yeah,
It really, really is. It
especially
really, really is.
when he's under a lot of pressure. He's driving around watching for the helicopters.
You keep seeing the helicopter and he's flipping shit.
Sweating. Or how about the neighbor, right? With the neighbor with the gun. He takes the gun.
Yeah.
And he beats him in the fucking head with the gun. It's like,
He's like, if
holy
you
shit.
touch her again, I swear to God, you're dead.
Oh,
Love it.
because he wasn't big at the time, but he got big with the Sopranos. Remember Michael Imperioli?
Michael
What Joe
Imperioli.
Pesci does to him.
Yeah.
Why don't you go fuck yourself?
Why don't you go fuck yourself? And he says, like, what do you want to do? I'm a good shot.
He's like, oh, what is the world coming to? Bam, 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 bam.
I'll tell
Spider.
you,
Spider.
There's 2 Martin Scorsese films Joe Pesci's in, right? 2 of them. He's been in a few. He gets it like that really bad in that movie. He gets it bad in Casino in the cornfields, remember?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Don't beat my beautiful cousin up, right? Beat the shit
That
out
was
of
his
him.
brother. That was his brother. in the
brother.
movie.
His
It was
brother.
Blake says Unforgiven. Oh, God. Eastwood Hackman, Morgan Freeman.
Classic.
Absolutely.
Classic.
Classic movie. Absolutely.
Fuck, man.
Travis said, as a kid, I used to want somebody to put my mailman's head in, as he delivered just like it's like, you delivered the mail to this fucking this house one more time, I'm going to fucking kill you. Remember when he grabbed the friggin' mailman because he was delivering the notes?
And
said he
in
wasn't
the head,
showing in school?
in the oven, your head will go.
Ooh, Travis.
God.
Travis hits my next one. That's next on my list, but I'll wait after Joe.
Get the fuck out of here. Is it?
Oh, well.
Yep, it has to do with Pat. That's why too.
You son of a bitch. That's not that. All right, we'll get there. That's my number 2 also. You son of a bitch. Yeah. See, that's you.
You
You're
you
good,
and I have probably totally
You.
You.
You,
All right, Joe,
it's
go
very
ahead.
sentimental to you, and obviously
Of
with
course.
me with the Stallone stuff. So
All right,
It's
go
all
ahead, Joe.
good.
Joe.
My number 3 is Reservoir Dogs by Quentin
Oh,
Tarantino.
yes.
I love it. You
Good
got Harvey
fucking movie.
Keitel, Michael Madsen, Tim Roth, Steve Buscemi, Chris Penn, Edward Bunker. You name it. This movie kind of, I remember watching it, not knowing what it was, and going back and watching it multiple times and loving that movie. Golly, great ensemble cast, and then they all went off and started more films, and were all great actors in their own right.
Oh, yes.
This
What a
movie's
great movie.
fucking Reservoir Dogs kicks ass, man.
You know, Joe, you just made me think of a nice topic, and this is something we could talk about. That movie that's stuck in the middle with you, that song. We think of a song that's very big in a movie. That is a big part of that movie.
Absolutely.
With the ear. That's
Absolutely.
a topic. Maybe I'm going to write that down. So if we can remember that,
My
songs that are
believe it or
big in
not,
the film.
the band I used to play in back in the day, I played with this band called Ashley's Past. I was in it for about 15 years, and actually last weekend I shout out to my buddy Tom, my drummer from the band. We're still like best friends. We don't play in the same band anymore, but we're still best friends. We put that in our set after that movie, and we played it for years
That's awesome, dude.
because of that movie.
That's one of the craziest scenes, man. I fucking so good.
Yeah, we played that for a long time because it was big at the time, and it was just great movie. Good
Wow.
choice.
Well, Pat, you and I could go together, I guess, on this.
So we'll both
Travis.
So Travis shouted out there. Let me spotlight Travis there. Copland with Stallone is one of the movies that endlessly throwing stars on screen from start to finish. You're constantly going, he's in this too, and that's my number 2, and apparently it's Brett's number 2.
Number 3.
Copland.
Oh.
Number 3 for me. Yeah. Yeah, because you started, Pat. That makes sense.
Oh, I apologize. That's my number 2. That's his number 3. I apologize. Yeah, that's right, because I went first. So we can combine the two, and I can gush about this movie forever because to me it's sentimental. Because these guys know I watched this being filmed. It was filmed in my hometown. I met De Niro. I met Pesci. Met Ray Liotta. It was just an amazing time in my life when this came out because I was young. It was actually right before I met my wife, and it was just a lot around just the movie itself, because the movie itself is a fun movie. It's a good movie to watch. I mean,
it's not action packed. It's more of a higher end drama, I guess, in a way. It's not.
Yeah, and you look beyond the people that are in it. Besides, so you have Pesci, you have Ray Liotta, you have De Niro, you have Michelle Moriarty is in there.
Pesci's not in Copland.
Not Pesci, rather.
Keitel. You're thinking
Keitel. Thank you. I'm like. I equate them as the small guys.
Right, the small guys.
Because they're very short. Keitel and what the hell was the guy?
You got De Niro, Peter Berg, from our
Peter
Shocker
Berg.
fame.
Yes.
Janine Garofalo.
Janine Garofalo was she was the other cop with Stallone.
Rappaport. God, Annabelle Sciorra. Noah Emmerich.
That's right. Rappaport
John Spencer.
He was that was his name when they threw him when they said they threw him off the George Washington Bridge after he was leaving Scores.
Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, what was his name in the though?
He was the boy.
Something boy.
Baby
what was it?
boy, right?
Help us out. It was like I forget what the hell it was. It's been a while since I've watched it, but such a great movie, such a great cast, and I've been talking over Brett. It's his turn, so I'll let you guys show.
Murray Babbage is what they say in that, but he had a nickname. You know what? I don't know where you guys were getting Entertainment Weeklies around this time. So they would like Entertainment Weekly in the 90s. That was a great magazine to see something that you're anticipating. Like they did a fall movie preview, winter, summer, spring movie previews. And when I read about that movie, Stallone, I'm going to tell you, if there's a movie he probably could have gotten the award for, it could have been this one too. He put on a ton of weight. He's very well acted in it.
Yes, he was fantastic, and he should have got a nod in that.
And he's kind of handicapped, right? He's deaf in one ear.
Yeah,
and I love the ending of the film too, how that all goes down, and just because he gets the one ear, they shoot out the one ear so he could hear. Just the whole walking up the street to get to Keitel's house and taking them all down. It was great stuff.
That's awesome.
Superboy,
Travis, thank you. Superboy is what we were thinking of, Pat. Superboy, they call him
Superboy. Thank you. I haven't watched it in a while. It's just I own it on DVD. I have the special edition. It's to me it's very special for a lot of reasons, because it was who was the director? Michael Mangold directed it.
James Mangold, who's just
a
little less than a month away from his Indiana Jones first one.
So such a fun movie. This is I'm highlighting this. This is great. Recording Meatballs 2 today, guys. It's definitely not in the simulcast, but just horrible.
Meatballs
So
has its moments
so
of
keep
stuff,
it.
that's
So
right.
Blake, keep an eye out for. I started that 70s movie review. I just did The Warriors. Go check that out. So next, probably this week, which is Friday, I'll be dropping my review of the first horror movie I saw was Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And when I did some research on it, I learned. Where did Joe go?
Joe.
We lost Joe. I apologize. So when we
Yo,
do some,
Joe.
I did some review research rather on the movie, and turns out because the movie is about there's small creatures that come out of this fireplace, and the three creatures, which I had no idea, actually went out to greater heights than you actually thought, and one of them played the alien in Meatballs too. Believe it or not.
No kidding.
Yes. It played was it Meathead? I think it was Meathead. So the one little creature in Don't Be Afraid of the Dark actually went on to one of them, and the other one went on to play E.T.
Oh, no kidding.
Out of this low budget TV horror film, because I'd never thought. I'm like, let me just try to research and get a little bit more backstory on this film, because that's why I'm reviewing it. And I looked at there's this three creatures in it, and one was I wrote it down. Hold on, I'll spoil my own fucking review. Why not? What the hell? So Felix Silver was one of the small creatures. He played Cousin It in the original Addams Family. He played Tweaky on Buck Rogers. He played an Ewok, and he's the one that played Meathead, the alien from Meatballs 2. How fucked up is that? You never would have thought of that.
That is wild. I wouldn't expect
Meathead.
that.
Yeah, so I'll later in the week I'll be dropping that. I'm trying to do a review once a week of that shite. Joe's back and true form.
We were missing you. Are you being struck by lightning?
And Superboy Babbage, thank you.
Yeah, there's some storms outside, and it just shut it out.
Are you serious? Oh, I was just joking.
No, seriously. Yeah, we've had some storms come in and out. So they just knocked out everything. Like my TV, everything just went off.
Don't be afraid of the dark, Joe. Don't be afraid
of the dark. Damn it.
Don't be afraid. But did y'all give out y'all number 2 or 1 or?
I did my 2 because my 2 was the same as Brett's number 3.
Number 3
was Copland.
So we're on my number 2, right?
Number 2.
Okay. Let's see. So my number 2 came in at it's going to be Boogie Nights. So
I forgot about Boogie Nights.
Bastard. That's not
so
that's my
okay. So Boogie Nights.
It's one of my faves, and I didn't do it. Sorry. Anyways, go Joe. Sorry.
Let's see here. So Boogie Nights, of course, the ensemble cast. We had Mark Wahlberg, Burt Reynolds, Julianne Moore, Heather Graham, John C. Reilly, Don Cheadle, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And that movie, for what it was, is we talk about it a lot, guys. We actually, I think we have
one
a lot
of
in common.
my favorites.
Luis Guzman, Thomas Jane. Fuck, man, the fireworks scene. That to me is. That's so iconic. You're like, I told you, man, we fucking come here and do something, man. We're gonna fucking do it.
What you do with me, man? We're not fucking living here.
And
We're not that fucking money that's in that fucking
Fucking Night Ranger playing.
he fucking goes in there and boo, gets blown up. Like, come on, man. Like, that movie in itself is just so good, well acted, well written, well everything.
So
and
since on the screen we've switched spots and Joe's at the bottom, I'm blowing my load. Joe just hit my number 1. One of my favorite movies, Boogie Nights.
It's one of mine, and I didn't have it on the list. I don't know. I guess it's not.
One of my favorite movies, number 1.
So good
for me, my taste.
So good.
So we got to go different now. Okay, yeah. So we just got to go counterclockwise now. I guess. So
yeah. So my number 1 is Boogie Nights. That is not. So now Joe went. So we're bringing it to me. So it's Boogie Nights because of the cast that Joe just listed off. It's second to none. I mean, it was shit. Who the hell did Burt Reynolds was nominated that year? Did he lose to John Travolta? No, because Travolta didn't win. Who did he lose to that year for Boogie Nights? I forget because he was up for.
I thought it was Robin Williams for Good Will Hunting.
It was
because he was up and he fucking deserved it because he was.
Let me get my brand new charger. I'll be right back.
It was great in that role. Julianne Moore was great, and to me, it was Yeah, you can tell I got a buzz on it. I'm talking about this now. It's nostalgia for me because I grew up in the 80s, and we grew up in the 80s porn scene because we always used to get like videotapes. A kid that I grew up with back in my hometown, his stepfather was originally from California, and his friend in California worked for a distribution company. So he used to send all these dirty tapes.
Oh wow.
So whenever they came, we were just like, woohoo, Christmas morning. We just watched all this shit. So
All the good
it
stuff.
it just took me back to that time, albeit it was set in the late 70s before that. But what's nice is it shows you how the scene transitioned from typical 8mm film to the VHS and then beyond, and how Burt Reynolds as a director was fighting that because he was concerned with making a good film, not just porn. So I just love that film. It's such a fun movie to watch, and it was just, I could gush about that movie all day long. So
I don't take off my skates.
That was it's just like, you don't take off your skates. I don't take my skates off. Are we gonna fuck? Oh yeah.
I think we talked about that's easily one of my favorite soundtracks too, especially for a movie that has 2 volumes. 2 volumes.
2 volumes. That soundtrack is second to none. That is probably tied for my favorite movie soundtrack with Dazed and Confused,
Damn.
which has 2 versions too.
That rocks.
All right, buddy.
Okay, so I got to go what number 2 here. Number 2, I don't know. It might be one of your guys. Oh no, that was your number 1. You said number 2 is probably one that's pretty common for a lot of people, and it is Pulp Fiction. There's no doubt about it. Pulp Fiction's a classic in itself. What are we talking? Travolta, Uma Thurman, Samuel Jackson, Bruce
Willis,
Amanda Plummer, Tim Roth,
Harvey Keitel as the
Frank
wolf.
Wiley, Harvey Keitel, Ving Rhames.
That's right.
Bring out the gimp.
Bring
Rosanna Arquette, and by far one of my favorite moments we've talked about in the film, Eric Stoltz. Get the shot.
Get the shot. He's like,
what do you need your blue little medical book for?
What are you looking for?
Just gotta stab her in the heart.
You gotta stab her 3 times. No, you gotta fucking stab her 3 times. Just get it to where you can get it through her breastbone.
I forgot Steve Buscemi's Buddy Holly too. Oh
yeah, that's right.
But that movie, I think at first I didn't like it. At first, it grew on me, and I just had to watch it a handful of times to really get it. And it's become
I fucking love it.
Of course. Yes,
I love it. That whole car scene.
Number 2.
The whole car scene where he blows the guy's head off, and I
shot him off in the face.
And they went, and the part where they're in the garage cleaning it.
Yep.
Okay, that to me is comedic gold. He's like, in fact, what the fuck am I doing in the back? He's like, we're fucking switching. He's like, you're picking up his head, and I'm cleaning the windows. He's like, I love
my favorite part of
accidental deaths. Remember we were going to talk about doing that.
When Travolta's getting pissed, he's like, well, you could have said, please. He's like, please, pretty please with sugar on top. Just clean the fucking car.
Yeah. He's like, I apologize if I'm curt with you because time or something. And he's like, he's like, if self-preservation is what you need, then please, pretty please, with a fucking cherry on top. Clean the fucking car.
You know he's sitting there talking to Tarantino. He's just like, oh, he's like, these are the sheets I got from my wedding. He's like, well, you know what? I got them from my Uncle Ben or whatever. He's like, well, is Uncle Ben a millionaire? Well, your Uncle Marcellus Wallace is.
Oh yeah, Aunt Jenny.
He's just handing all this money to him.
Yep.
He's like, he would like to furnish you with an entire bedroom set.
Oh God, what a movie!
Awesome, dude.
Unbelievable movie. And that's the movie that kicked him right off the friggin' Halloween 6 train.
It is awesome. Oh my gosh.
Well, you think Pulp Fiction too? Travolta was kind of on the downslide, and that movie brought him back. And then
that movie really
put him downslide, and then he came back.
that really reinvigorated all their careers and put them in the stratosphere.
Yeah.
After that,
For real.
I was just thinking, accidental deaths. We should watch the Final Destination movies and watch alongs, and then we can rank our favorite deaths of the whole series.
Hey, I love that.
Lose my mind. We watch those.
Those movies are so fun because of the creative ways that people die. I love the franchise. So good.
The beginning of that third one with the car on the street, road stuff. Woo! Good stuff. Or is that 2?
That's 2. That's 2. Oh, you talking about the car scene where the logs and all that shit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best. Oh,
it's true. Eric Stoltz was kind of they did him a favor by throwing him in Pulp Fiction because he kind of fallen off the map.
Well, he got let go halfway through or 2/3 of the way of Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. He was there. He was
Filmed
supposed to
a
be.
ton.
He was Marty McFly.
He
And then they
fucked
shit
that
canned
up.
him.
He fucked that
So
up.
that's our
And then he
top
did
5
Mask.
best ensembles. Yeah, he was Mask. He was
Oh,
Rocky Dennis.
I got one more.
Oh, we got.
My number
we
one.
got number ones. Yeah.
Oh, I apologize.
Joe and I
That
haven't
was
done
us
number ones.
gushing. What was your number ones? I apologize.
Joe,
Okay.
you go,
Shot my
bud.
load.
All right. So my number one, there was so many great movies out there that I could have picked, but this movie to me, because I'm a sports guy and all that stuff too, like movies, I love like Hoosiers and all that shit. Any Given Sunday.
That's what I was thinking. All right.
Any Given Sunday. You got Al Pacino, Oliver Stone, Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz, Dennis Quaid, James Woods, Lawrence Taylor, LL Cool J, Jim Brown, rest in peace, recently just passed away. Elizabeth Berkley, Andrew Bernarski, who played Leatherface, Anne Margaret from Grumpy Old Men, Lauren Holly, Matthew Modine, Aaron Eckhart, Bill Bellamy. You keep going. John C. McGinley from Platoon. The list is endless. And the movie was badass. He's like, you gotta give it your all. And I can't do my Pacino impression, but man, Any Given Sunday. Great movie, damn it.
Wasn't James Woods the team doctor, right?
Yes, he
When
was.
the backup quarterback gets hurt. What did he do? Fall off the bench?
What did he do? Fuck. He's like, Cheravini's hurt. What did he do? Fall off the bench? No, I fucking love that guy. He's a dirtbag in that movie, by the way.
Oh, yeah. He plays it pretty well.
Oh, yeah. He's a dirtbag in Casino, too.
I gotta watch Any Given Sunday again. I liked it a lot when it came out, but I think I've only seen it like twice.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time. I think I only seen it once or twice. Good
That's
movie.
another Oliver Stone film. Oliver Stone,
Yeah.
I tell you, man.
Yeah, Oliver Stone
kills-
is right there, man.
He gets some good casts. Well, when we were talking about this, doing this topic, mine has always been the same number one, and it's True Romance. There's no doubt about it.
Whoa.
True Romance is still this list. We'll just go really quick here because it's written by Quentin Tarantino here. Let's start out here. Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, Christopher Walken, Bronson Pinchot, Samuel L. Jackson, Michael Rappaport. What do we got? James Gandolfini,
Wow.
Chris Penn, Tom Sizemore.
Bronson Pinchot.
Did I get everybody there?
Don't
pretty
be,
well?
hey, can I get something? He's like, don't be stupid.
Well, you want the Halloween connection to Bronson Pinchot. You know what he read, right?
What did he do?
He was the if you do the audio book for, I think it's Halloween Kills, he's the guy that narrates it.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think it's either Kills or Ends. It's not 2018.
Serge?
Yeah, he does audio. That's what he does. He does audio books now.
Don't be
Obviously. It's
don't
either
be
Kills
stupid.
or Ends, and I'm pretty sure it is
Don't be
Kills.
stupid.
1 second.
That's right. With the lemon twist.
Don't be ridiculous.
But I gotta tell you, I haven't seen, like, I think Tarantino did an alternate cut of it because the studio he didn't direct it, he just wrote it, but he has his own angle.
Yes, it's
however
so.
much-
If you guys, when we do the Halloween movie book club of Halloween Kills,
Mhm.
Bronson Pinchot is the narrator because I just looked up. I knew it was one of the two.
Is
it
it
was-
on the
it-
book cover? Sarah?
2018 is a woman, so it's a woman. I know that. So 2020 Halloween Kills is Bronson Pinchot. I forget who does Kills, but that'll be important.
How the hell did he get
Bronson
hired to
Pinchot.
do that? Just because of his voice?
I guess so. Yeah.
The
So
Perfect Strangers guy?
the Perfect Strangers guy. That's him. He does audio books now, and you
Just
would never
gets
know
no
by the
sneak on.
voice when he said.
know-
'Cause I remember hearing it, and it says that Halloween Kills by Tim Wagner, read by Bronson Pinchot. I'm like, Bronson Pinchot.
They should have given our guy a chance
I'm
from our
like
other book.
Balky, Balky, and I looked it up.
know-
I'm like, holy fuck, it's him.
You know what movie fucking scared the shit out of me on TV was the Langoliers. Remember that? He was in the Langoliers. You remember
Oh,
watching
really?
that? Those creatures that and they would come eat the planet or whatever. Fucking creepy, man.
Well, do you
Oh.
remember in True Romance where all the cocaine shoots up in his face at the girl in the car?
Travis is going back there. One moron who dies trying to burn a cross on Bubba's lawn always makes him laugh.
Oh God, of course. Oh yeah, he's in Risky Business too. That's an
What's
interesting
interesting?
cast too. Risky
So
Business.
what's an anticipated movie that had a completely stacked cast but was a complete disaster in your mind? Independence Day. So
Yeah,
I
it's
know
a terrible sequel, Travis. Yeah.
I know one, and honestly, it goes back to my youth. So when I was a kid, we couldn't wait to see the Sergeant Pepper's movie.
Oh, really?
And that was the biggest bomb. You had Aerosmith in there, you had Peter Frampton, you had the Bee Gees, you had George Burns, you had Steve Martin, you had all these heavy hitters at the time, and that movie was the biggest of all time.
I'm trying to think.
So, guys,
Oh,
think of
you know,
one?
you fucking know. I got one. Movie 43. Have you ever heard or seen of Movie 43?
Oh, that's with that it's that comedy with all the raunchy stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's
It's that
wild. That is some
ensemble.
wild shit.
There's so many actors and actresses in that, but it's trash. It is garbage. Garbage.
I thought the
Oh,
Thin Red
hold on
Line
one second.
was
My daughter's. I'll be
disappointing.
right back.
You remember that? I shouldn't say some of the war movies you got to respect it, but Thin Red Line was dull.
Oh, I
Thin
don't
Red
like
Line.
the Thin Red. Well, actually, it was a. You know what movie had a great cast? What was great was with Mel Gibson.
We Were Soldiers.
Yes, that
Good movie.
movie.
Good movie.
That movie. Fuck. Good morning, Sergeant Major. And he's like, "How do you know what kind of good? How do you know what kind of morning it is, or some shit?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, Sam Elliott."
We gotta ask Pat when he gets back because he's older than you and I. I bet you. I thought he would say it's a mad, 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 mad world because that movie was big for its time when it came out with everybody in it. So
Absolutely, man. Oh, by the way, the Heat won game 2.
tied now, huh?
Yeah, 1-1. Yeah, that's why I had the TV on. I was like, fuck, I got to keep up with the score, man. It's driving me crazy.
My brother had to remind me today that Murray. This was a big thing with him because he blew out his knee and he was out, right?
Yeah,
He's just coming back.
Hey, he's kicking ass, though. He
So
almost.
This has been anticipating for this team to be good.
Oh, dude, absolutely. They just, I don't know, man. Like, they can be a force to be reckoned with for years if they can stay healthy. Because, I mean, what's his name? Big fella's too good, man. Jokic, he's too dominant, bro, not to win.
Nobody talks about, that's where the Bulls president came from. He drafted those guys and they left to come here and be running the Bulls. So
Wow.
I don't know what he's doing here yet, but
Dude.
Sorry, my daughter was calling me for something. Then I'm like, well, perfect opportunity to take a piss.
Pat,
There you go.
I just brought up to Joe. I was thinking because you probably had remembered a bit more since of the age. I don't mean to say it like that, but it's true.
I'm old. I accept it. I'm old. A week from this Friday, I will be getting a colonoscopy, so I'm old.
Oh,
Very nice.
How
Yeah.
about It's a Mad, 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 Mad World? That was a big deal when that came out, right?
It was a fun movie too.
Because of all the people in it too, right?
Yeah, that was a huge cast.
Yeah.
Bronson did the narration of Kills, yes, and gave the best performance of that bunch of books. He did, and you had no idea that was him because he did not. It's not like he was reading it like Balky. Like, don't be ridiculous.
Do you think our buddy that did the
Evil
older
dies
books,
here tonight. He just had a totally different. When I actually had to Google it because when it said Bronson Pinchot, I'm like Bronson Pinchot.
Evil
Balky?
dies tonight with the lemon twist?
So I looked it up and I said, it was
Don't
him,
be
but
stupid.
don't be stupid.
No, I
Yeah.
cannot.
Oh, yeah. Genesis sucked balls.
Tell the doctor only 2 fingers now. They knocked me out, thankfully. I did tell the doctor, I said, look, while you're in there, if you see an Indian head nickel from 1976, it's mine. I swallowed it when I was like 4. So if you find it, I want it back. he just looked at me, he's like, you're messed up. I said, he's like, and it's funny, it's my wife's start today. He's like, my wife warned me about you. I said, I'm just letting you know, if you find anything in there, 10% goes to the house.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
Hey, how about nobody? I was thinking, what could be an honorable mention from Dusk Till Dawn? That's a good cast.
That was on my short list. That was on my short
Absolutely.
list. Yeah, because it's one of my favorite films. That was on my short list. Yep,
Don't be
absolutely.
stupid.
Don't be
Sorry,
stupid.
That's stuck in my head now. I'm gonna be going upstairs telling my kids, "Don't be stupid."
Don't be
Love it.
stupid.
Why are you talking like that?
So, only thing we have left to do, because we're doing a marathon tonight, boys, is we have our collectible spotlight. Did you guys send me a spotlight? I don't remember.
Oh
You did,
shit!
huh?
I am so sorry.
Fuck.
If
Can
you
I get
didn't, all right. So let's do this. I will show mine while you guys go grab something.
Yeah,
Excuse me while I whip this
I'll
out.
go whip something out.
All right, let me go look.
All
Let
right,
me
so
go-
let's do a quick collectible spotlight.
If I
Yes, Travis, I've not yet had one done. This is my first one, and I'm understood that the prep is 1,000 times worse than the actual procedure. So, not looking forward to it. But you know what? I'm 51. I should have did it last year. I'm just doing it as preventative. So, I'm trying to be responsible. And so this week, I had a real busy weekend, so I thought I'd throw up some nice tits up there and show my Italian Halloween 6 theater poster.
Oh, look at that.
Now, this is one of the coolest Halloween posters ever, because when are you going to see a girl with nice tits on a poster? You've seen them in the movies, of course. But this is an original Italian one-sheet poster. Now, mind you, the Italian posters are usually enormous. So the one I showed earlier as my new acquirer, which was Halloween 3, was 41 by 60, I believe.
Wow.
And this one is about a 35 by 45. It's just, their posters are enormous. Some of them come in 2 pieces. So the original Halloween posters are actually 2 pieces you put together. They're not one sheet because they're that big.
That's crazy.
That poster is so wild, dude.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw it up there just to show some tits.
Tits.
That's great.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
Oh my god.
Oh, Pat, find that clip now. You got to add it to it now.
I'm writing it down right now. It will be on our next.
You remember where it's
podcast.
at, right, Pat? Of course.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. If it's too much trouble, don't be stupid.
Oh God, did Joe go? I found something wild.
So that is my. I don't have any pictures, so you guys show what you got.
All right, cool. So I'll go. I guess. So I just grabbed a pop. So I love this because it's neon color. So it's a Chucky and Tiffany combo.
That's awesome. Look at that.
That's a Hot Topic exclusive. Look at that.
Is that hard to get, or is it still? You think?
Yeah. Yeah, they had them at Hot Topic, but they're gone now. So reselling it, they're probably doubled in price now.
Bastards.
But speaking of boobies, I love me some Jennifer Tilly. Woo!
Oh, I love Jennifer Tilly.
Oh,
I'm actually more partial to her sister because I'm a big fan of Psycho 2.
oh, nice. I
Meg.
love her from Liar Liar. Oh,
Mm.
blonde hair, Jennifer Tilly. Oh shit. Oh shit.
Oh, you ready to go out of left field with something? Something you wouldn't expect?
96 posters kind of stick. Yeah, you know, because honestly, it's so. Have either of you guys have been to Italy?
No.
No, I can't wait to go though.
I've only been to Italy once. I was in Rome. I was in Tuscany, and then I was in Rome. And and people are like, I can't believe they had that poster there. I'm like, oh, believe me, they show tits and ass on everything. Like when you go to the stores, I remember there was like bottles of that limoncello.
Oh yeah.
Shaped as a dick.
Oh nice. So
you
they're
can buy-
very,
I gotta get me one.
Yeah,
of those.
they're very liberal with the boobs.
very
Very
liberal.
liberal. So if any of our Italian friends out there, I've been there and I understand it. I'm like,
He's
been
all
there.
Pat's in heaven over there.
Big
I'm
time,
all for
big
it.
time in heaven.
Yeah, so that's why. But I can't believe they had that poster. I'm like, well, I've been to Italy, and it was not the most shocking thing you're going to see there.
Okay, you ready for this? See that?
Oh, cheers.
But it's signed by George Wendt and it says Norman.
Oh, get out! I want that. Get out! Seriously?
That is funny.
I found it. I got it myself, authenticated and everything. He's like, yeah, I haven't signed one of these in a bit. I'm like, cool.
Oh,
So
That is
wasn't-
funny.
I figured that's a good left field thing to show you guys.
that's awesome. We were just out, like the story I told you, we went to pick up Terrence's car, and we were talking about movies. I think Terrence even mentioned, my son mentioned it. He's like, all my dad does at night after dinner, I just see him watching reruns of Cheers. It's like, dude, I watch Cheers every night.
I've had, since it ended, I've watched the whole series twice, which that's a lot to watch.
Oh,
I
there's a
watched it
lot,
over
yeah.
time twice, and it still holds up.
It's
so
so
fun.
so much fun to watch. I love it. I watch it all the time.
I-
This
it-
channel on Pluto. It's called Classic Sitcoms. It's Cheers and Frasier. They just show them all the time.
Yeah,
Congrats.
Ted Danson. I know he's done other stuff. He'll always be just Sam Malone, though.
He was good.
Oh,
If you watch he was good in that TV show Becker. Becker was a lot of fun.
Becker was. I heard he's good in that Fargo show they did too. So I haven't. Seen
I didn't
that,
see him
but-
in that, but the Becker show was a lot of fun. He was really good in that.
But
And
look
that,
at
and that had Shawnee Smith in it too from Saw.
Oh yeah, Coach, come on, Coach is hilarious. Just being the silly, dumb. Old
Oh,
dude.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And-
When
and
Woody came out, Woody was fine, just not the same.
Woody was great, but like the thing that like when I watch the old episodes now with Woody, I'm like, I cannot believe this guy was nominated for an Oscar.
right. It's kind of
I'm
like
just floored that. and it's not a knock on him because he didn't suck. He was good at what he did, but it's the people you least expect that'll just
Right.
skyrocket, and he skyrocketed out of that show.
I don't want to compare. I guess I can compare it. Like it's like when David Garrison left Married with Children, Steve. And they brought in Ted McKinley as Jefferson. Just to me, it wasn't the same, but he's fine.
But David Garrison, when he left, and he did that show with
Didn't he go to
with-
stage? I thought he went just.
No, he did that show with well, maybe I'm wrong. Time frame might be off. He left and did that show. It's Your Move with Jason Bateman.
Oh, I gotta go back.
There was a TV show called It's Your Move, and it was him and Jason Bateman. And I'm forgetting if it was either before Married with Children or he left to do it during Married with Children. And that was a really good show. It was like a young Jason Bateman. It was Your Move because they were like butting each other's head. They were like trying to get over on each other. Look up It's Your Move. It was Jason Bateman and him.
Hold on a sec. Something just fell. This is weird.
Uh-oh. The Rocky's coming to life. Yo,
Cookie.
cut me, Mick. Cut me.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Well, I'll put it back up later. I might as well add a second thing tonight. You guys will laugh at this one. That's Paulie, signed by Burt Young way back when.
Oh,
That's
nice. That is
Good old
really nice
Polly.
as hell.
Yeah.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah, he just fell down. Thank God he landed on a yoga wall.
How good was he in Back to the Future? I don't get mad. When I get mad, he gets mad.
I love
He
that.
crushes. And I love when he's standing there with the sign, Springsteen.
Back to school's so good. Oh
Yeah,
God.
that will be on our comedy watch along at some point.
Oh hell yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
it's at the time of the night when it's time for our shameless plugs for our shows. So this Tuesday we'll be watching Halloween Kills.
That's
Live watch
beautiful,
along.
man.
Nice.
Evil will die on Tuesday. Maybe not. So that'll be on Tuesday night.
Taco Tuesday.
9
Uh-huh.
Eastern, 8 Central. We'll be watching Halloween Kills. This will be my next watch. This my next 70s movie review,
my
which will be coming out this week. First horror movie I ever saw. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and that is a young Kim Darby from Halloween 6.
Awesome.
Oh, that was after the John Wayne movie, right? Yeah.
Yes, she was in True Grit. Yep. Next week, not this week. Halloween. I'm only mentioning because I want everybody to do their homework. Make sure you read chapters 5 through 9 for the Halloween 3 movie book club, which will be next Wednesday. And it's going to get very interesting. There's a lot of cool differences in this movie from this book rather to the movie. So just come hang out.
This time it's personal.
Nice.
This time it's personal.
Voicemail. Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
Do your homework. Don't be stupid.
Knock them down. Try knocking me down.
Oh my god.
Oh, total Mickey. Yes.
And let's what else did I don't even remember what I put on here. Oh, and be sure to go check out Joe's channel, Joe Moody's Mind, the Texas Frightmare Weekend, which we were talking about. I actually put it on this thumbnail tonight to go down that rabbit hole, which we had no time for. So best thing to do is go check out Joe's channel, Moody's Mind. He had 3 updates live while he was in Houston. So go check them out. I don't have the link to his channel on here right now, but it's in the link to this video is there. So go check it out.
Thanks, buddy.
It's him and both his beautiful wife to be, MB. So go check it out. we didn't have time to get to it tonight, so be sure to go check him out, and it's fun stuff. And I
Good
think that's
stuff.
it.
Very
That
nice.
is what we have. That is all the shameless plugs. You guys, anything else going on?
Nah, I gotta get some Z's. Got another lovely work week coming up. So we just gotta, I had a blast, man. Thank you guys again. Had a good time tonight.
This was great. Shout out to Dustin McNeil, way back at the beginning of this podcast, who was
Yes.
absolutely amazing. Answered all our questions. It was so much fun talking to him.
Yeah.
It's great that we finally got a hold of him, and he seemed like he'd be happy to come back on. And maybe in the future we will have him on again for another podcast, because that was a lot of fun. I was looking forward to talking to him, because those books are just out of this
Yeah,
world. If you have not read Taking Shape 1 and 2 and you're a Halloween fan, you'd be ashamed of yourself. Go on Audible and listen to them.
Yeah, Pat,
And
we
they're
get him.
just so crazy.
We get him back on. I'll go back and listen to see if there's. I'll bring up some other questions with you off here and think if when he's back on next time, let's think of some other stuff too.
Yeah, and I made sure to bring up his other books. He did do a book on Chucky and Phantasm. And some other stuff. It's just some great stuff. I barely noticed on my last rewatch of Kills that Willie the Kid's mentioned on the radio when Tivoli steals his car. Yes, yeah, he is. I did realize that. Yes, and we'll be getting there to next week. Wait for you guys. See you on the Kills. Awesome, Travis. Travis is the best. Travis is a big
Thanks,
supporter.
Travis. Yes.
Love having you here, man. I love that you come out, hang out, and we will see you on Tuesday night for Halloween Kills.
There was no Stefan in the house. Stefan's been another one too.
Oh no,
Steph usually hangs out on Tuesday night, so I'm sure he'll be there for Evil Dies tonight. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just being stupid.
night, guys.
Oh, sorry.
Don't
night,
be
guys.
stupid.
It's all in the reflexes.
So, you guys hanging out before, so we can say a proper goodbye, or you guys jumping right off?
Yeah, I'm gonna go check on MB and get some Z's, guys. My
Yeah,
medicine's
cool.
kicking in.
You
I
jumping
catch
off?
up with Pat if you want for a minute. Pat, so
Cool. So love you guys, and I will see you guys on there's no top 5 for tomorrow. Usually we drop a top 5 from the previous week. Since we didn't do one because we did the trivia, there'll be no droppage of anything tomorrow. So we'll pick back up and move forward. So I just want to make mention of that if anybody's interested.
remember, don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid. So no problem.
Okay.
Don't be stupid. Oh, Ryan's still left with us. Hey, what's up, Ryan? Peace, homies.
Ryan.
Peace, Ryan.
Great, another contributor, Ryan. Thank you.
Another good
Travis, thank you.
big guy. You guys are the best. Make sure to join us on Tuesday, because Tuesday we'll be back and we'll be watching Halloween Kills, because evil will die on Tuesday night.
And we'll all be stupid.
And we'll all be extremely, believe me, we're watching that movie.
I gotta
we're all
let
gonna
it
be
go. I'm
stupid.
sorry, Joe.
It's all good.
We'll all be stupid. So
I'm gonna go
good
watch
night,
Beverly
everybody.
Hills Cop now.
I'm going to chat with Brett. Joe, love you, brother. I'll talk to you.
Love you guys. See y'all
Bye.
later.
Night all.
Bye.